believe it is a good morning to be here, and the morning is already started, and we are going to have a fun-filled day where we'll be having a lot of knowledge sharing and exchanging of information and having discussions that will build the economy of Rustenburg. Before we start, as part of celebrating our culture, Yabatswana, I'd like to request Marumo Asetswana to just give us an item. Thank you. A round of applause for Marumo Asetswana. Indeed, Rustenburg has a lot to offer in terms of its culture and heritage. My name is Kinatebo Sekhoho. I'm the Director for Local Economic Development, and I'll be your Program Director today. I am honored to be in front of you, and I'll start by just apologizing for starting late, and we sincerely apologize for that. Taking you forward, there's a quote by Helen Kilner that says, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. This is the right platform where we brought different minds, different experts to come together and have a discussion going forward. We have the international community with us, we have the government with us, we have tribal authority with us, we have business leaders with us, we have the business community and the community members with us. So we can come together and speak together and have one decision and one voice understanding on issues of economy. I want to start off by greeting everyone and all protocol observed, but I'll start by greeting the tribal authority, Hosia Rona, Hosi Matope, the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature, the Executive Mayor of Rustenburg Local Municipality, the Speaker of Council of Rustenburg Local Municipality, the Single Whip of Council, the MMCs, members of Mayoral Committee of Rustenburg Local Municipality and the Bojanala District Municipality, the councillors of Rustenburg Local Municipality and others who might have joined us, the executives and officials of DERCO, the executives and officials of the UNISA, University of South Africa, the executives and the officials of Rustenburg Local Municipality, and other government stakeholders who are with us today, and other state organizations or other business organizations that might have joined us today, our panelists, key stakeholders, business community, I greet you. And as a program director, I say, let us work together today and let's run the ship forward. I will be starting as a pilot now. I'll be engaging for the liftoff. So I hope your seatbelts are ready, you've tied your seatbelt, but it won't be a bumpy ride, it will be a smooth ride. You'll have the best trip today. Thank you. I'll start off by requesting the member of the Mayoral Committee, Councillor Thabang Rampo for Local Economic Development, to ascend on stage to assist us. Traditional anthem. Thank you, MMC. A round of applause. As we start, I'll like to request that we all stand up as we recite the national anthem. Do we have a good voice in the house that can lead the song for us? Any volunteer? Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Abusheni. Dumelang bagaetsho. My name is Tsamang Rampo. I'm the member of the mayoral committee responsible for local economic development. Mine is simple today. I'm here to introduce the executive mayor of Rustenburg, Mme Khomotso Shilanki Shila Mabale Huma. Ke a leboga bagaetsho. Ke kopa re emeleng.
Ke a leboga bagaetsho. Le ka nna fo fatshe. Kgosi Mathope a se nna ne ko go emelisa ke MMC Rampo. So a re ko LED ba na le dikgomo. Yeah, thank you very much, Program Director and the member of the mayoral committee responsible for local economic development. Bagaetsho, let me acknowledge the presence of the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature in the Northwest Province, Honorable Dr. Desbo Mohono, the Speaker of Rustenburg Local Municipality, Councillor Lebogang Pule, the Single Whip of Council, Councillor Rapula Wakanda, the members of the Mayoral Committee from both Rustenburg Local Municipality and Bojanala, councillors, Kgosi wa rona, Kgosi Mathope from Mathope State, representatives from UNISA, represented by Dr. Maureen Tong, representatives from DERCO, directors from local municipality of Rustenburg, stakeholders from different departments, different political parties present here, because I've seen that we have also invited different political parties. The convener of the ANC Women's League in the Northwest Province, Comrade Wendy Matsemela. Bagaetsho, allow me to observe the protocol. Program Director, I stand here today very much proud, and not only proud, but excited as well, that as Rustenburg Local Municipality, we are given an opportunity to host G20. That Rustenburg Local Municipality has been identified as one of the capable municipalities within the Northwest Province in Bojanala region. We are gathered here today at the time of a great significance in our country's history. South Africa is leading the G20, the world's premier platform for international economic cooperation, for the very first time. This is a proud moment not only in South Africa, but also for the entire African continent. Our presidency of the G20 under the theme Solidarity, Equality, and Sustainability marks an opportunity for us to demonstrate the leadership, vision, and unity on the global stage. Ladies and gentlemen, this engagement is an opportunity to strengthen ties, advance collaboration, and ensure that global economic policies translate into meaningful opportunities for our communities. It is also a symbolic gesture, a recognition of the role that Rustenburg plays in shaping the broader economic landscape of South Africa and the African continent. We are truly honored to host this prestigious gathering, and once more we extend our warmest welcome to you. Today, as part of a series of dialogues taking place across the country, under the banner of G20 Outreach Program, a nationwide initiative that brings South Africa's G20 presidency closer to its people, and hopefully we're going to come up with solutions that will remain and assist the municipality beyond the summit. Hosting the G20 is not only a matter of prestige, it is an opportunity to strengthen our economy and build a nation pride. As Rustenburg local municipality, we hope and believe that today's activity will not be one of those activities whereby we're ticking out boxes and nothing happens after. Bring it closer to home. How do we as Rustenburg prepare ourselves for the life beyond mining? How do we educate and encourage our communities to explore the agriculture sector or even vigorously market our tourism sector? These are the questions that we should at least attempt to respond to through this outreach program. The G20 summit has put South Africa on the map. We need to exploit this platform by using it to grow our economy in Rustenburg, driving industrialization, skills development, and local business opportunities for our communities. Rustenburg, a home to a number of mining houses, and that on its own should be a driving force for us, that we are on the agenda at the summit and push that Rustenburg is on top of the discussions. It is our summit and it is our collective responsibility to ensure that we keep the conversation going even after the mines, even after the summit that we are having. Mining remains a critical pillar of our economy, with Rustenburg-rich mineral deposits making significant contribution to South Africa's industrialization. However, we are deeply conscious of the need for sustainable mining practices that balance economic progress with environmental responsibility. As we gather here today, our focus on sustainability of the tourism sector is also paramount. This is crucial for us to build a genuinely resilient tourism sector within the Rustenburg local municipality. Protecting and preserving the natural wonders entrusted to us by previous generations is our collective responsibility. By adopting eco-friendly and responsible tourism approaches, we can ensure that future generations inherit a Rustenburg that is inspiring. We must direct investments towards green technologies and adopt sustainable practices to foster an economically flourishing tourism industry that actively contributes to environmental sustainability. Adopting sustainable practices is imperative for safeguarding the unique ecosystem and wildlife that attract travelers worldwide to our city. Program Director, let me not take up more of your time. We have a full program where all of these topics will be unpacked and discussed extensively so. And let us continue to build a Rustenburg that embodies the values of solidarity, equality, and sustainability. Let us work together to ensure that our G20 presidency leaves a legacy of inclusion, innovation, and global cooperation for the benefit of the people of Rustenburg. Let us use this moment to lift our people, strengthen our city, and shape a world that truly leaves no one behind, and hope that this is the beginning of a new era of global partnerships where Rustenburg, the biggest municipality in the Northwest Province, stands not only as a contributor to South Africa's economy, but as a beacon of opportunity, innovation, and progress on the African continent. The participation of every stakeholder present here today is very much appreciated because, like the President always say, as government, We can't do this alone. We need private partnership, private-public partnership. Together, as we're always saying, we can do more. So on that note, Bagaetso, you are welcome to the Platinum City, but unfortunately I don't have platinum to give you. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you, Executive Mayor. Thank you, Executive Mayor. Can colleagues, I want us to give the Executive Mayor a round of applause until she sits down, because let's continue. Thank you for setting the tone, Executive Mayor, and taking up the challenge of ensuring the economic growth in Rustenburg local municipality. As we move forward, I want to remind us about the theme for today: inclusive growth and just transition for sustainable societal development. That is where, and this is what we're speaking to today, through the key sectors of mining, agriculture, and tourism. Taking us through the program, I want to quote something from the former President Nelson Mandela, stating that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And who other than the academia can assist us in terms of addressing issues of education and development to come and represent us today. Representing UNISA's Chancellor, I'd like to call upon the stage Dr. Tong to come give us her opening remarks. Thank you. Let's clap our hands. Again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks. Dumelang bagaetso. Dumelang mo provinceng ya Bokone Bophirima. Ke itumela thata ke be ke le mo province ya gaetso gompieno. So it feels really wonderful to be here. It is a pleasure indeed to be here. Me matoropo re itumetse thata fela gore o bo re amogetse re tswa ko University of the Land, University of South Africa, the university that carries the name of our country. Let me observe protocol by acknowledging Retebogo Setlogo, who's doing very, very well as program director. Mayara, you spoke really well. I acknowledge your presence as well and your warm welcome for us. Professor Pulen Linkabula, the Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University of South Africa, is not able to be with us today due to her travel commitments. However, she said I must come here and speak on her behalf. Let me acknowledge Mr. Nelson Khwete from Public Diplomacy at DECO, who will set the scene for us today and tell us the state of readiness for the G20 as we are about to host it the very next month. We acknowledge amongst us Khosi Matabe, ontseng le rona ko tafoleng, go ne go le monate go nwa tee le wena mošong wa gompieno ba gaetsho, nna ke ntse ke dutse le dikgosi ha ke sa itse lena. Let me acknowledge the Speaker of Rustenburg of Local Municipality, Councillor Lebogang Pule. We welcome UNISA Regional Director, Mayor Bopape Matwele, who's with us. UNISA is everywhere. UNISA is present in all provinces of South Africa. UNISA is present in 160 countries around the world. And for us to be here today, we just want to show and acknowledge that we are really, really local. When we say with the University of South Africa, we mean it. Let me acknowledge the Chief Whip of the Rustenburg Local Municipality, Councillor Rapula Makanda. We acknowledge Councillor Tabang Rampo, who's a member of the Mayoral Committee in Rustenburg Local Municipality, members of the Diplomatic Corps representing various countries who are present, members of the Rustenburg Local Municipality and Local Mayoral Committee, our moderator for the panel discussion, Mr. Tali Munzezi from DECO, our panelists who are here, and I'm proud to say that we've brought two from the University of South Africa. When we do the G20, yes, we come in collaboration with DECO, but we also acknowledge that this event today really is for Rustenburg. And for that purpose also, we have several panelists who will participate on the program from the municipality. But you've also seen even the program director is from here, and we'll see a lot of participation. And of course, before I could even open my mouth, we had to be welcomed by the very beautiful executive mayor. On our panel, we have Professor Chelele from the College of Agriculture in UNISA. We have Dr. Lisedine Duna from the College of Economic and Management Sciences. We have Maggie Rapez Busielo from BLM. We also welcome several other panelists that will participate on this program today. I welcome Mr. Surprise Malehase from DECO. Malehase, we've traversed this journey together across the country as we do this Road to G20 community engagement town halls. I welcome members of your team as well that are with you. I welcome national, provincial, local government and legal representatives that are present, the business community, civil society, political parties, research institutions of higher learning, including UNISA present, and various organizations and foundations that we are honored to have here today with us. Most importantly, I welcome the community of Rustenburg. Please give yourselves a round of applause. Because this is indeed the reason why we are here. This is the reason why we do the Road to G20 community engagement town halls. We have been already doing what we are doing today, collaborating with DECO. We have been to KwaZulu-Natal, we've been to the Western Cape, we've been to Mpumalanga, and we are here today. We will go to Eastern Cape, we will go to Northern Cape, and we'll go to the Free State as well as Limpopo. This is really in collaboration with DECO, absolutely saying the G20 belongs to South Africans. Echoing the words of the executive mayor, it is really not about some people sitting in some halls, speaking alone, talking alone. The G20 should benefit our province of Northwest. As I've said, Professor Linkabula sends her greetings as well, and she apologizes that she could not be here today. UNISA is present across the world, as I've said. We're doing this community engagement, and for the province of Northwest, while we are here in the province of Northwest, our regional office, located in Rustenburg, is called the Midlands region of UNISA. This region includes the Northwest province, includes Free State, and includes the Northern Cape as well. And as you've heard, our regional director is here as well. Executive Mayor, I invite members of your team, I invite members of Rustenburg community to have several of you registering at our institution, at the Institution of the Land at UNISA. We would love for those of you, we know that there are several really outstanding alumni from this province. I include the late Ahmed Katrada, the former Premier of Northwest, Mayor Edna Molewa, and the former Chief Whip, and the former Chief Justice, Mogoeng, who also come from this province. When you study at our institution, you are joining indeed a very illustrious alumni that is not only present in our country, but also across the borders as well. We are the only university in South Africa that is represented outside of our borders, specifically in Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. And therefore, when you join our institution, you are joining indeed a global alumni when you graduate. We also have had other presidents of other countries graduating from our university, amongst them former president of Haiti, His Excellency Jean-Bertrand Aristide, and the former president of Malawi, Lazarus Chakwera. Indeed, as the executive mayor has said, it is a great honor for us as a country that we are hosting the G20. It is an opportunity for us, not just as the province of the Northwest, and not only as the Rustenburg local municipality, but the country at large, to play host to several countries that are coming, that are members of the G20, and those that have been invited as well. In less than a month, from the 21st, we will indeed be playing host to several heads of state that will be joining the G20 Leaders Summit. The province of Northwest, the local municipality of Rustenburg, due to its proximity to Gauteng, where the summit will take place, I have no doubt in my mind that it will also benefit from the hospitality. The hospitality industry should be able to benefit from the arrival of several heads of states, diplomats, etc., that are coming to our country as part of the G20. Hosting this prestigious international summit carries with it the potential to stimulate substantial economic activity within the host nation. With the participation of 19 countries, alongside the African Union and the European Union, as well as thousands of international guests who will descend upon our shores, a unique opportunity presents itself to elevate our country's standing in the world at large. This is availed to us, and in anticipation of this summit taking place, it means that our province, the local municipality, need to be ready to partner. And as we have seen until now, there have been several G20-related activities that have taken place, and this indeed have also created several opportunities for our youth and different sectors of our community. Executive Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, during the summit, South Africa will be eager to showcase its capabilities, its natural beauty, and its resilience of its people while nurturing a constructive dialogue amongst nations. This is not just a diplomatic spectacle. It is a strategic lever for transformation, particularly for provinces like the Northwest, and as I've said as well, the Rustenburg local municipality, with its rich mineral resources, and as the executive mayor has said, the platinum province indeed. This local municipality also is very close or is proximate to several famous tourist attractions like the Pilanesberg National Park, Madiko Game Reserve, and others, and we do hope that they will benefit as well from this, from the summit. As the mayor has indicated, in the program, we are talking about several sectors: mining, agriculture, and tourism. And indeed, on the panel, we'll have several panelists that will speak on this topic as well, and we look forward to their contribution. We do know, as the mayor has correctly pointed out, that agriculture as well is a growing area for the municipality of Rustenburg that we need to be looking at and ensure that it grows to its true potential. Rustenburg is a tourist destination, and I've already spoken about the benefits it will have then due to the G20. In the short term, we can anticipate increased activity in hospitality, in the retail, while in the long term, sustainable benefits that directly address socioeconomic challenges that our people face can be expected. Considering the preceding, one can argue that the G20 summit has significant potential to impact skills development for women and society at large. And of course, in this province, we are led by a very capable woman, the executive mayor. By collaborating with other countries, the province of Northwest can play a crucial role in enhancing skills development opportunities for women and youth, which would hopefully lead to greater economic growth, equality, social development within the province and beyond the borders of the province. Ladies and gentlemen, as the mayor has very well spoken, the themes for the G20 are solidarity, equality, and sustainability. As South African, we stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine and will continue to do so with other nations and other peoples around the world who in future might also need our assistance and our support. We do so because we are mindful that our democracy was won also as part of the contribution of peoples around the world that chose, the international community that chose to stand in solidarity in our struggle for freedom and democracy. And therefore, it is for that reason that the sub-theme of solidarity will continue to be relevant to South Africans even beyond the G20. The area of equality as well, the sub-theme of equality as well, will continue to resonate with us in South Africa to ensure that the right to equality benefits all sectors of our country and all populations that are part that also. As we continue to address issues that that are challenges in our country, challenges of unemployment and poverty. As we do so because we believe every single South African must enjoy the right to equality, the right to enjoy all socio-economic rights, and therefore it is quite important for us to continue to agitate for equality. Sustainability as well. The G20 takes place on the eve of the review of the SDGs, and therefore we stand a good chance as South Africa to reflect importantly on how we are doing towards the G20. Ladies and gentlemen, African solutions lie within us. It is a pleasure for us as a university to be here, to be collaborating with the municipality, to be collaborating with DECO, but importantly, to be here to hear from the community of Rustenburg, what are your views regarding the G20? How do you think, much as the summit takes place in so many days, it's less than a month now to go, much as it takes place in the short term, what do you believe as members of this community should be pertinent and should benefit the community of Rustenburg? Bagaetsho, kwa ke tswang teng ra duduetsa. Mogolokwane? Mogolokwane? Ke a leboga. Ke itumeletse thata le traditional dancers that were here. I bring you greetings. I look forward. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Program Director. As I leave the stage, re a leboga, thank you, and you are most welcome on behalf of Professor Puleng Lenkabula. Thank you.
Round of applause. Round of applause. Dr. Tong, I'd like to give you a message which I got from the Council of Rustenburg Local Municipality. Rustenburg is ready for business. Rustenburg is ready for investment. The Council of Rustenburg has taken a decision to set aside land to develop an education precinct. So please send a message to the Chancellor that Rustenburg is available for the expansion of UNISA here. Take up the space before it's all gone. Going forward, I'd like to welcome Mr. Nelson Huete from DERCO to assist us with setting the scene and the state readiness for G20 Leader Summit. A round of applause. A round of applause.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you. Thank you once again, Program Director. I would like to greet our traditional leaders. I'd like to extend my greetings also to our mayor, who's welcomed us so warmly to Rustenburg. I also wish to acknowledge the Speaker of the legislature, the provincial legislature, and the Speaker of the local municipality, all the councillors and the executive directors of the municipality. I want to also extend my greetings to the colleagues and officials from University of South Africa, including Dr. Tong and other colleagues of hers who are in the hall with us. I want to also acknowledge all the residents of Rustenburg who have joined us here today. We are very much pleased with your welcome to your beautiful province and your beautiful city. I'm speaking on behalf of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, which is one of the departments tasked with organizing South Africa's G20 summit, which is taking place in Johannesburg during the month of November, on the 22nd and the 23rd of November, to be specific. We are working as part of an interdepartmental team. The G20 Interministerial Committee is led by Minister Ronald Lamola of DERCO, co-chairing that Interministerial Committee with the Minister of the National Treasury, Minister Kotongwana, and they are joined by other ministers at the national government level. So I represent a collective of government that is responsible for organizing South Africa's G20 summit, but we've also been chairing the G20 from last year in December. So we've been working together as government across all the different departments, working also with other role players, for example, the University of South Africa, which has been with us on this journey from when we took over the presidency of the G20. And UNISA expressed a keen interest in partnering with us to take the G20 to the people, as has been expressed by the president when we took over last year. Our president said that South Africa's G20 presidency must be a people's G20, which means that a government must not be running the project on its own, but it must bring in other role players, and South Africans in general must be brought on board so that they participate as much as possible in all the work that we are doing to lead the G20. So before I talk about how we are doing with our preparations for the summit, I just want to firstly talk about the history of our involvement in the G20 as South Africa. Some of you colleagues will know that the G20 was formed around 1997, 1998, as a result of what was then called the Asian financial crisis. This crisis was affecting a number of countries in East Asia, for example, Malaysia, Thailand, South Korea, some parts of China, including Hong Kong, as well as Taiwan. So the world was affected negatively by that crisis, which spread across all the countries and all the regions of the world. So some of the countries started to toy with the idea of bringing different countries in the world to respond to that financial crisis, to arrest the crisis, and to ensure that there's a framework to prevent such a crisis from recurring. So at the initiative then of the United States of America, working with other G7 countries, those countries were mainly countries in the West, which was the United States, Canada, Italy, and UK, France. So they came together to say, as a G7, we do not cover the world sufficiently and we will not be able to respond to the crisis. We need more countries to be involved. So they involved other countries. At that time, they formed the G20 as a meeting of ministers of finance and central bank governors. So when the G20 started during that period in 1998, 1999, it started as a gathering of ministers of finance and the central bank governors. So it grew over the years to be what it is today. But then when the G20 was formed, they looked at the countries in the world that could assist in arresting that financial crisis and ensuring that we prevent a recurrence. On the African continent, South Africa was the only country that was invited to form part of the G20. And as you can see behind me, we've got the flags of all the G20 countries. So these are the countries that were invited to form. The only new member of the G20 is the African Union. The flag of the African Union is this one, the green one. So besides the African Union, we have obviously South Africa, the African Union, and then we've got Argentina, you've got Australia, Brazil, Canada, China. Then you've got the European Union, which is the blue flag with the stars, the gold stars. We've got France, Germany, India, Indonesia. Can't see the flag, I believe it's Italy, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Russia, Saudi Arabia. Can't see that flag properly. It's Turkey, and then we've got the United Kingdom and the United States of America. So those are the countries that form the G20. Amongst them, we've got only two regional organizations, which is the African Union and the European Union. So the G20 was formed by those countries, and South Africa was the only country on the African continent which was invited to be a member of the G20. As you can see, other countries, we've got a group of countries from Europe, we've got a group of countries from Asia, and then you also have a group of countries from South America, for example, Brazil and Mexico. So on the continent of Africa, South Africa was the only member. And when the G20 grew to be a leaders summit, that was occasioned by another financial crisis in around the year 2008, when we had the global financial crisis, which began in the United States of America, and it spread across the world. So again, the leaders of the world decided that we must elevate the G20 to a leaders forum so that the leaders can take decisions quickly on what had needed to be done at that time. And so the president of the USA at the time, I think it was President George W. Bush, he invited world leaders. South Africa's president at the time was also invited, and the leaders of the other G20 countries, so they began to meet at the summit level from then until now. So South Africa is the last country to host a G20 Leaders Summit. All the countries had held the G20 Leaders Summit. South Africa is the last one in this cycle to host the G20 Leaders Summit. So during our presidency of the G20, we are going to be doing a review of the G20's work over the past 20 years to look at how far we have come as the G20 and what we need to do differently to ensure that the G20 functions optimally and that it fulfills its mandate, which was to ensure that we ensure cooperation among the G20 countries, but also beyond the G20 with other countries that are invited to participate in the gatherings of the G20. So South Africa is taking this huge responsibility, not for its own sake, but also on behalf of developing countries in general, because we're championing in the G20 the interests and the desires of fellow developing countries. In the G20, most of the countries, as you can see, are developed countries. There are only a few countries that are developing, for example, South Africa, and the previous president of the G20, which is Brazil, as well as the two other previous hosts, which is India and Indonesia. So those are the developing countries in the G20. South Africa is one of them. And the rest of the countries, these are developed countries, and we are working with them to ensure that there is cooperation at the global level on issues on the G20 agenda, which I will speak to later. But then South Africa's G20 presidency, we are using it to champion the interests of the African continent, because we take our membership of the G20 as an opportunity for other African countries to amplify their voices through this forum. So we're using our membership indeed to ensure that the African voice is heard and the African interests are championed through the platform of the G20. So one of the interests of South Africa and other African countries, as well as developing countries, which is a priority of South Africa's presidency, is to ensure that we strengthen disaster resilience and response. This is one of the priorities that we set forth when we took over the presidency, and all the G20 countries supported that this could be something that we are working together on, which is directly related to some of our national interests, but also disaster resilience and response is a matter that is firmly on the international agenda, and it is not only relevant for South Africa and the African continent. So that was one of our priorities. We are also, as South Africa, championing another priority, which is to ensure debt sustainability for low-income countries. This is, again, a matter that the African Union is seized with. South Africa has a huge interest in ensuring that there's debt sustainability for low-income countries, many of which are on the African continent. So we have we have the endorsement of the G20 members to put this on the agenda and ensure that there is agreement in the international community on how we assist low-income countries to manage debt so that they are able to focus on other issues of development. Some of the countries on the African continent, they are so indebted that they cannot even prioritize basic things such as health, care, education, access to water, those basic things. And when those countries are not able to manage debt and they spend most of their finances on servicing debt, they are not able to provide basic services for their citizens. And as South Africa, you know, the influx of our neighbors into South Africa, it's mainly as a result of some of those issues where our African sister countries are battling with the provision of basic services to the people because of issues such as the debt which they are unable to manage and repay. So it's a matter that the South African government has put forth, and we have the endorsement of our G20 partners. The other issue that is high on our agenda is to harness critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. It's a matter that the people of the Northwest are very familiar with, the fact that the African continent and South Africa in particular is a huge supplier of these critical minerals, but how do we ensure that the minerals are used for sustainable development and for poverty eradication as well as development? This is a matter that I will be listening very attentively to the speakers as they talk about, because it affects the daily lives of the people, not only in the Northwest Province, but across the African continent. And then South Africa is obviously working to ensure that our G20 presidency is inclusive. Inclusivity means that we are not going to have a closed-door meeting of the G20 members only. We've invited other countries to participate. Some of the countries that we've invited have traditionally been participating in the G20 through the years. They are not members, but they have a huge input to make onto the agenda of the G20 countries, such as Spain. We've invited countries like Malaysia. We've invited countries also in the African continent, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Angola, Egypt. In fact, some of the meetings that South Africa has chaired under the G20 presidency have taken place in other African countries because, as I said, we want our G20 countries to bring the African voices onto the agenda. So we've held meetings in Nigeria, we've held some of the G20 meetings in Egypt. That is part of South Africa bringing the African continent along with us on the journey of our presidency. So we've invited also regional and international organizations. The United Nations will participate, the African Union as a member, but some of its institutions will also participate in the summit. We've invited countries in the Caribbean, for example, Jamaica will be participating. So South Africa's G20 presidency is going to be an inclusive one that makes sure that we don't only speak on behalf of developing countries, but that they are in the room and their voices are heard through the platform that we are providing for them on the G20 agenda. Now, I'm going to conclude by just referring to our state of readiness to host the G20 summit. Colleagues will know that this is taking place next month, as I said earlier, on the 22nd and the 23rd of November. It is not a national government project. It is South Africa's presidency, so it is your summit as a South African, and I'm very glad that those of you who are in the hall will be now, from today, you are our G20 ambassadors. So when people see the G20 summit on the TV and they ask what's happening, I will rely on you to explain to them what is happening, because it will be South Africa's moment to bring the world together, to unify everyone, and to ensure that we come out of that summit with a set of agreed principles on how we address issues of international development, of peace and security, and also ensuring that we deal with issues of sustainable development, economic growth, etc. So South Africa is ready. All the G20 countries will be participating without any exception. Some of the countries that we have invited, which are not G20 members, they are also looking forward to participating in the G20 under South Africa's presidency. And we are also, as part of our summit, preparing for a platform that will be used to galvanize community organizations, grassroots organizations, groupings representing all sectors of society during what we call the G20 Social Summit, which will take place just a few days before the Leaders Summit. The Social Summit will take place from the 18th of November until the 20th in Ikuruleni in Boksburg at the OR Tambo International Conference Center. And that is intended to ensure that those who are not able to participate in the Leaders Summit, because the Leaders Summit is the Leaders Summit, only the G20 leaders and their invited leaders will participate. So South Africa, like Brazil, is organizing a platform to ensure that non-governmental organizations, civil society, all the grassroots organizations come under one roof and agree on a set of goals and decisions that must be taken and tabled at the G20 Leaders Summit. So our president will be at the G20 Social Summit, and he will listen to all the inputs from the different civil society, grassroots organizations. At the end of that social summit, they will present a declaration or a set of demands depending on how they want to word it. And our president will then take that declaration to be presented to the G20 leaders. And that is how we are going to ensure that the voices of the people are heard at the G20 Leaders Summit, as will be presented by our president. So that is how we are intending to run our G20 presidency. It will conclude after the summit. The next president of the G20 will be the United States of America, and South Africa's presidency will conclude at the end of November. So from the 1st of December, the next president of the G20 is the United States. South Africa will be serving in the Troika because the G20 doesn't have a permanent secretariat. So South Africa has been part of the Troika of the G20, which is comprised most usually of the previous president of the G20, the current president, and the next president. So when Brazil was serving as the president last year, we were already serving in that Troika as the incoming president. The outgoing president at the time was India. So the three countries are responsible for ensuring that they agree on the agenda and they present it to the next, to the bigger gatherings of the G20. So South Africa will be serving again in the Troika, but it's usually up to the president of the G20 how they want to conduct the business of the G20s, but South Africa will be offering its support to the next president of the G20, which is the USA. With those words, I want to thank you for this opportunity, and we look forward to listening to all the inputs, and we will definitely take the messages from Rustenburg back to Pretoria, and we will definitely convey a message that Rustenburg is indeed part of our presidency, and they've given us the full support. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Thank you. A round of applause. Thank you, Ntate Kgwete. Indeed, you've added out 2 ambassadors of G20. I believe you have a couple of more ambassadors from Rustenburg, and we are ready to host the country as part of South Africa. Just before we go into the main discussions of today, I'd like to request a little entertainment from Aruma Abatswana. Please come on board, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. A round of applause for our youth. Thank you. Now we get to the crux of today, where we will be going into depth in terms of the discussions around our key sectors, mainly being your tourism, agriculture, and mining. I'd like to call on board our moderator, who will lead a discussion of inclusive communication and engagement with representatives from the academia, mining sector, tourism, agriculture. Let's welcome Mr. Talifani Munjenzi from DERCO. Thank you.
Good morning. Ndimachero, thank you so much. Special greetings to our traditional leadership. It's great for you to join us. I want to make a special greeting to the mayor, the executive mayor. Surprisingly, Hase will tell me that I will be in trouble if I don't actually observe protocol. So, Executive Mayor and your entire leadership, thank you so much for being available to engage with us and the entire community as well, and the diplomatic community and the business community who are here. You did say that we have got our work cut out and we are not going to be taking the boxes. So I want to take this opportunity to introduce the panel. I know that the various leadership from the provinces here, including our speaker from the legislature, including our local speaker as well. So we want to send a special greeting as well to the council and also the municipal leadership that is here. We also want to greet the University of the Land, Dr. Tong, and your regional leadership, and also your staff. Thank you so much, and the business community that are here. I'm glad that my job is quite easy, but also difficult, because we're going to be actually zooming into the issues at hand in terms of how we can make sure that with these 20 economies that already have Zogt footprint also in this city and the province, how do we make sure that we actually take it to the next level? I want to take this opportunity to not waste any time to invite into the podium the professor from the College of Agriculture and Animal Health, and this is the University of South Africa, Professor Julius Chelele. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. He's going to occupy the seat, the second seat right on my left. And I want to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Lisedi Nduma. Dr. Nduma, thank you so much. She's from the University of South Africa's College of Economics and Management Sciences. I know that we're also going to be reflecting in details about entrepreneurship. We had a thorough discussion, occupied the seat right in the middle. Thank you so much. Mr. Nelson Khwete from the Department of International Relations. Let's give him a round of applause again, because we want to continue to benefit from your inputs. I know that your schedule is very busy in preparation for these important meetings of South Africa's G20 presidency. Thank you so much. Ms. Kiarabetsui Bushelo from BLH Mining. Thank you so much, madam, for coming. Let's give her a round of applause, please. I know that the discussion won't be complete without a representation from the city as well. And I know that other discussions, when the program director will come here, will also benefit from the discussion further on the floor. Thank you so much. Because of time, I will get into the discussion. I will take my seat over here. I just want to start with you, Prof. Thank you so much. All right, let's just prepare you. All right, thank you. Okay. I think we'll start with a brief introduction, just 3 minutes or so. The issues of inclusive economic growth, just transition, social development. I know that the topic is broader, but I know we'll benefit from all your expertise in terms of the research that you have done and your observation, not only here in the city, but also we can broaden it as well, but also zooming to the issues that we find ourselves in, the economic issues here, because the executive mayor have already talking about, we need to actually look beyond mining as well. And that's where we want to take the discussion. Where are we? Yeah. Prof?
Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Protocol has been observed. Let me just go straight to why we are here. Through you, I'm not sure if it's appropriate to introduce myself first. Absolutely. Okay. My name is Chloe Julius Chelele. I'm a professor at the University of South Africa from the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. And I come from a small village in Limpopo called Moleji. And the reason why I am, introducing myself before I get to what I do in my profession, I would like to request all the parents, the sisters who are here, to say it is possible that even if you're coming from a dusty area, that you can change the status quo. I never thought that I would be a professor one day. My mother cannot write. My father was a truck driver, but here I am. So it is possible. In the same breath, it is also possible that the various speakers, including our executive mayor, through our G20 vehicle, that we can change the status quo. So it is possible, and it is up to us. So academically, I've got a PhD in botany from the University of KwaZulu-Natal, and I obtained that in 2015. I have been a researcher or a scientist for 20 years. So this going to my 21st year. So I've got wealth of experience from teaching and learning, from research, particularly in plant herbivore interaction, and I'll break it down as we go along. Should I teach you? Okay. Maybe I would like us to talk about these things at different levels, because we relate to these issues differently, and we can't use, an umbrella, approach. One, this morning, I'm sure we've had, breakfast. And one way or another, there were cereals, there was maize, there was milk, and there was meat, so on and so forth. And we have got in our midst the traditional leaders who are also the custodian of land, from villages that they are responsible for. The executive mayor has also made available land. So in a nutshell, all that I'm trying to say is that it is possible that we can start from grassroots, to ensure that at least issues of food insecurity are addressed, that we have all had something to eat, because food insecurity is one of the biggest issues. And access is one of them, either being in the form of unaffordability or the nutritious kind of food that we have. Yet we have got all these resources, and our leaders are making them available. And I have worked quite a lot in the Northwest, and I still am. Just about last month, I was in 8 Cake. We are working with the community where we are part of rehabilitating, degraded land. You will know that beef production is one of the key sectors in the country, in Northwest, just to zoom into Northwest. But what does the cattle, goats, and sheep eat? They do eat grass, trees that we are not taking care of. But there are so many opportunities. Just to cut a long story short, you may be aware or not, if you don't know, that Northwest has got a problem of bush encroachment, which is the increase of trees at the expense of grasses, which is food for livestock. So There are projects that we are running as UNISA that we are also going to be part of with the Department of Agriculture, which we are rehabilitating and use these encroaching trees that are in abundance as feed for livestock. But not only that, there is also an opportunity for entrepreneurship, particularly for the youth and the women, who can, either use that as wood, or use that as feed for livestock, or use that as charcoal. And these are resources that are abundantly available. On the one hand, they are a problem, but depending on how we look at them, they can be a solution. So I just want to say in a nutshell that it is possible, it is up to us. We have got the youth that are not having jobs, yet there are opportunities that are here. And so let's ensure that when we leave here, before we go into delve into all different kinds of issues, that we have everything and it is in our hands, as the previous speakers have said.
Thank you very much. Dr. Duna, just in terms of your opening remarks and a brief introduction.
Okay, thank you. Dumelang bagolo. Lina ke Lesedin Duna, and I am a lecturer in the Department of Applied Management in Tourism. Originally, ke tswa Moruleng, and I work in Pretoria. Now, I'm passionate about tourism because one thing, when you talk about sustainability, when you talk about transformation, and when you're talking about inclusiveness, that is one industry that has the ability to inculcate all of these. What do I mean by that? Tourism industry, we offer job opportunities from ground roots up to the higher level. I mean, we also have it in our programs at UNISA. We offer higher certificates from tour guiding, hospitality, and all of that. So you don't necessarily need a higher degree to enter the market or the job market. And as he was talking, I actually approached Prof here earlier on to say, one thing that I have been playing around with, it's the issue of agritourism. What do I mean by that? Can we take what we have already? You want to rehabilitate the beef industry. How about we curate an experience around that? We all know how chocolate, we enjoy it. You don't get it anywhere else. So how about we look into things like that and see what kind of experience can we curate in order to open opportunities up for youth at various sectors. So it is one industry that really you can offer, we can address the challenge of job opportunities, of job challenges, and as well as entrepreneurship where people stand a chance to enter the market and provide various services.
Mr. Gwete, I'm going to skip you in the meantime. Yes.
I think
please don't. Lina ka dumedisa, dumelang bagolo. I'll also introduce myself. Lina ke Rapetse Pusielo. I am representing our company, BLH Mining. So I sit here rather as a co-owner of BLH, which is a mid-tier contract mining group. And we would like to think of ourselves as specializing in the PGMs, which is what Rustenburg offers, the PGM markets, which is the platinum group, as well as specializing in gold. So that is who we are. I'm joined by my partner, Tsepo. If you can just stand up so that all the questions are thrown to you, please, if need be. And I will share a brief history of how we came about. We are from Rustenburg, from various villages, but we are from here. And myself and Tsepo saw an opportunity in entrepreneurship within the mines. We didn't start off as being gold diggers, but going into the trenches, not yet. But we went in there and asked for any opportunity. What can we do? And believe it or not, we've gone from supplying stationery to supplying one microwave. That is what the mine would say. And you ask yourself, if I'm going to be supplying a microwave, what is the profit there? Nothing. Nonetheless, we remained resilient, and I believe our tenacity is the reason why we are here today and celebrating over 200 employees, I believe, and a footprint in various provinces, which is, like I said, Northwest, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga. Myself, my role is, as I said earlier, I'm a co-owner as well as a, co-captain of the ship. So we manage the business, I manage the business. And what does the captain of the ship do? We map the way forward. We look at all the risks involved, from your safety aspects operationally, all the way to your reputational risk. And you fuel the engine, and you make sure that the business is profitable and safely doing so. Or you rather reach your destination profitably and safely. Is there anything else that you'd like me to add?
Also now, because it's a Q&A in terms of this panel, I wanted
Yeah.
you to expand in terms of, as you involve in mining, there are also other industry within the mining sector as well to add into the value chain of the whole ecosystem in the mining industry as well. How that works, even venturing into different sectors within the sector as well. Because mining as it is, we're not only going to dig, gold and platinum, but we're also, it's about the people, you did say, in terms of the sustainability thereof, which is quite important. I'm quite happy that looking at the employees and looking at the number of workforce in terms of how the attraction of new entrants as well in the market. So the expansion being added into the value chain, yeah.
Tali, I think part of the theme here is inclusive growth, right? And we are a typical case study for that, that has demonstrated that if you work together with local entrepreneurship, we can be partners. So our fellow big companies should not be shy to partner with us. Yes, we are in a different value chain of the mining sector, which is what they refer to as business to business. So we are a strategic partner to the big guys. And so we employ all of their strategies, and I believe that's why you called me here. We've got a story to tell, and we employ rather, of the Anglos, the Valteras, to do more of what they have done, like with us, right? It doesn't just, our services are so broad that they can truly include local entrepreneurship into their businesses. Yeah.
The executive mayor did indicate, speak in detail about this private, public partnership, which is quite important as well. And I wanted to now bring Mr. Huete now. There's a strategy. This is not only for South Africa, but also at the AU level. You did mention in terms of the rare earth minerals that needs to unlock opportunities for young, emerging, but also other companies that are in other provinces to make sure that they actually benefit from this. Because you do have the big players, but also you have the middle, but also we need to also bring those that are actually starting up as entrepreneurship needs to grow.
Yes, indeed. What South Africa has been advocating for in the African Union and also globally is that there should be more beneficiation of Africa's minerals, and going together with that, there should be greater integration of African economies, because if we do not integrate our economies, if we don't trade amongst ourselves as African countries, all we will be doing is mining our minerals and sending them abroad. So South Africa is advocating both for the beneficiation of the minerals, but for greater integration of African economies and intra-African trade. What has impeded African countries from trading among themselves? It's the number of factors, which many of them are historical. For example, African countries have been developing infrastructure that sends all the minerals to the sea. If you look at all the African rail infrastructure from all the mining towns, not only in South Africa, but in African countries that are involved in mining. When you look at where the infrastructure is going to, is from the mine to the sea, because that is intended to take the minerals out and export them as raw as they are. So South Africa has been advocating for greater connectivity of infrastructure among African countries so that we are able to trade with each other in an easier way. So within our own regional organization, which is the Southern African Development Community, SADC, we have been championing a number of cross-border infrastructure projects. South Africa is involved in a number of them with Zimbabwe, with Mozambique, and we have supported cross-border infrastructure projects between Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana on the one side to ensure that there's connectivity of those countries, because that is the one thing that has impeded African countries from trading with each other. So all the minerals that we're talking about, for as long as there are no conditions for inter-African trade, we will still send them abroad because the conditions are non-existent for us to trade with each other. And that is why, as South Africa, we've also championed what we call the AfCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area, which is intended to reduce or do away with trade barriers so that African countries can do trade with each other. Some of those barriers have to do with how the global financial architecture is structured, because we are not using our own currencies, for example, when we do trade. So if South Africa is sending some products to Angola, we have to use the US dollar in our transactions, whereas if we were able to use our own currencies to do trade, the barriers would be lesser. And in Southern Africa, South Africa is part of what we call a common monetary area with a few countries, for example, with Eswatini and Lesotho, as well as Namibia. Our currencies are pegged 1 rand to each of the countries' currencies. But that kind of arrangement can be broader to ensure that we trade easily with each other across the region. With other countries, the currencies are not aligned, and that is why we still need to use a third country currency to do trade, even among ourselves in the region. When you look at other regions, how they do trade, for example, in the EU, well, an EU is an older organization, the European Union, they use one currency, they have one central bank, and they also have a common immigration system, so you don't need a passport. If you are traveling from Italy to Spain, you don't actually need a passport. They have a common immigration system that allows the citizens to move freely. But it doesn't mean that there is no control. They have put in place controls, so there's no illegal immigration within those countries because their systems are integrated and their borders are also integrated. So South Africa is championing an integration of our economies, of our immigration systems to ensure that we are also in a better place to do trade. Because for as long as we are not able to do that, we will still talk about our minerals being mined and sent abroad raw, and us not getting much value for them, getting a raw deal, so to say.
You wanted to expand on that? I wanted to actually, even talking about looking for new opportunities, looking for business, we talk about mining as well. But if we're going to talk about entrepreneurship, one wants to do business with the municipalities, mostly organize them. When the youth, we're talking about entrepreneurship, when the youth are properly organized, with proper representation, but also companies that are well registered, they're actually doing business at a various level. How significant is that? That even amongst, we're talking about partnership, before we even venture out, we want to see the youth in various provinces, even coming here to look for opportunities, that we expand and open South Africa's economy, not really close ourselves into different cubicles, that we have to actually find those partnerships among even the youth, but also in different levels as well.
That is very important. And I said earlier on that one thing that our youth need is resources. They do have the creative minds, but it is also important that when you are a young person and you want to go into business, make sure that you understand the space that you want to trade in, and ensure that you have all the necessary documents, the requirements. We do know a lot of people that want to do business with government, but they're not registered for tax, they're not registered in all the various platforms that they need to. And as my peers were talking, I kept on thinking that to latch on to that, with tourism, when we talk about mining, think about Cullinan Mine. Cullinan Mine offers tours, diamond tours. Rustenburg is very rich with its mines. That's an opportunity that perhaps it could be looked into for tourism to thrive in this space. When we talk about opening up the borders of Africa, the AfTA that it was referred to, it's where our culture and heritage can be expanded on, can be actually be exhibited to the world. You don't really, like Dr. Tong said earlier on, our solutions lies with us. What do we have? We are rich culture, our heritage. That's one thing that we can offer. The homestays, the rural tourism, all the tourists that flood into our country, they want an authentic experience. So when you're thinking of what you can offer, think of what you have and how do you expand on, and use the technology that we have to do your research and how you can advance and expand on that idea in order to ensure that you are ready for business and you can be an entrepreneur and offer something that will be sustainable and that you know that it's in demand.
That's quite significant. You wanted to expand on that?
Yes, I would really like to, comment on a few issues. But maybe just to paint a picture, as the University of South Africa, the same is true with many other universities. We're producing thousands and thousands of students, but we only have a handful of jobs. And that, for me, calls for a paradigm shift. We can't continue to do what we have been doing given the new challenges. And the reason why I am saying that, I want to reflect on the question you asked about the mining value chain ecosystems. I mean, mining in its nature, it is destructive. But there are processes that needs to happen post-mining, which should also look after the communities. And it is very important not to look at mining, agriculture, and other sectors in isolation. They are interconnected. And why I'm saying that is one of my interests as a scientist and as an academic, it's in rehabilitation. And I'm talking back to the mining, that those mines must be rehabilitated such that communities in the nearby can use such areas, for instance, for grazing and even for plowing. But that can also be a business opportunity because the young people who are unemployed in the communities could basically, in collaboration with the mines, harvest indigenous grasses and legumes before mining and multiply them, which they can then sell to the mines for rehabilitation process. And that will lead to, beef production or goat production or even crop production. So it is very important for me. What comes through it is, collaboration among the different sectors, government, private, academic institutions, and you name them. But we also have government, and Dr. Khwete has made it clear in terms of, trading with African countries. that is now looking beyond, South Africa. So all that I'm saying is that all these things are just in front of us. And I'm of a very strong opinion that, yes, I fully agree that resources are a limiting factor, no doubt about that. But what I believe in strongly is, what is it that we have now that we can start with, such that as we are engaging the relevant sectors, they find us started and say, this is where we want to go, we struggle with X, Y, and Z, as opposed to say, we can't even start due to limited resources. And I am not at no ways, disputing the fact that, resources and many other are limiting factors. And luckily, the speakers who have spoken here have actually made it clear to us that the resources are there, are available, as much as they may not be enough. And I'm therefore calling upon and latching from what Ntate Kgwete has said, that we are the G20 ambassadors, and therefore we should start now, including even ourselves at the university. Luckily, our principal and vice chancellor, Prof. Linkapula, has repeatedly tells us that we can't only do teaching and learning, because things have changed, and therefore we should move into technology innovation such that we can solve, current challenges that we have.
All right. For now, I think they deserve a round of applause, but it's not the end. It's not the end yet, because judging from the amount of writing that's happening on the tables, it means sort of the conversation must continue. I appreciate that, yes. Before I come to you, Nelson, I also want to reflect on, when I was interviewing the executive mayor early this week, building up to this, I asked her a question about how we get infrastructure ready. And she was talking about, there's a lot of projects that's happening even here within the city to make sure that infrastructure does grow. That even if we want to trade, people want to actually see that the infrastructure from roads to a number of infrastructures. And that cannot only happen without also the involvement of the private sector as well. And because we are from the city, I need you to just give us a paint of what your observation in the city. Don't worry, the executive mayor will take punches. She doesn't mind. In terms of the observation and in terms of the infrastructure and some of the improvement that you see, that we can all benefit from as well. Yes. Then I'll go to Mr. Kgwete.
Don't worry, the executive mayor, the city is great, and that's why we enjoy living here. But Tali, I want to go back to comments that have been made here by my colleagues, and how the resources are available. So I'm going to add some insight on how it's really like, as somebody who has been in the business for 10 years, and I would just like to add that it is not easy. It is really, really not easy. There are so many barriers to the entry. We are not just talking about compliance, because compliance is just mere paper form. You can go and source people to help you with the paperwork and everything else. There are so many other variants to the entry that we overlook sometimes. For instance, some bureaucratic payment terms. You just started off a business and then you're only going to get paid in 60 days. How are we as local people from the villages meant to, from disenfranchised environments meant to continue with business? Immediately it kicks you out. You are out of the game. So we need to also ask our government to please help us with that. It is sometimes not just a mere of access to funding, which is what we are always asking for. We always need money as entrepreneurs. I need money. So if there's anybody here who can help expand the business, please, I'm raising my hand. But it's more than that. It is, as I said, the entry. It's the, not just the payment terms, the insurance. So, yeah, the insurance to begin to work. You have to have, for instance, a public liability of many times 20 million rand. How are you supposed to as a startup? So, but we are not, we are not defeatist. We don't have our heads down. We really do believe, though, with collaboration, it can happen. But it is a subject that I believe should not be overlooked, because I think it is precisely where just transition comes in, so that we can also compete in the market that has been previously being owned by the big players. Otherwise, we'll forever just remain in the, rendering very small services and not going all the way to the latter, which is the value chain of beneficiation. Yeah.
Mr. Kwesi, you wanted to add?
Yeah, well, I think from my own observation, I'm not from Rustenburg. I'm from Limpopo also. But I've been to Rustenburg a few times. My observation, and I believe this is what others have also observed, the city is growing. And growth is good when it's managed, which appears to be the case. In some cities, we have seen the cities are growing, but the growth is not managed. And you have an influx of people, the population is growing, there's people who want to build houses, people want places to play, sporting facilities, etc. And in Rustenburg, at least you see a growth that is happening, the city is expanding, and it appears to be managed properly also with the infrastructure expansion. And so it's a good observation for me as a visitor, having known Rustenburg when it was only up to where we are now, and not even, there was nothing to that side towards the N4. So the growth has been magnificent, and you can see that it is being managed at a certain level by the mayor's team and all the stakeholders. So it should be a model for other cities as well. Rustenburg stands in a very good position because it's in the corridor joining with Botswana. So all the traffic from South Africa to Botswana goes through, most of it, not all, most of the traffic goes through Rustenburg. So it's a good point to rest. So Rustenburg must do more to market itself. Also, it's not far from Gauteng, which is the economic capital of South Africa. So most of the people in Gauteng is tiring, because every day there is a rush. When you leave your gate already, you must be driving at 180. When you drive 100, they hoot at you to say, we are in a rush, get going. So we need, people in Gauteng always need a break. So Rustenburg must market itself as a place where people must come and have a rest, away from all the noise, all the road rage in Gauteng. Because here in Rustenburg, people are so chilled. I haven't had anyone hooting at me as yet.
We hope it doesn't happen at all. The reception has been really good. The hospitality has been very great, yeah.
And to add on to that, what we really need for the tourism industry to thrive in Rustenburg, it's the investment in product development. Let's really zoom in and see how do we develop tourism products for Rustenburg, so that you are able to catch the market that people are tired of the city life, to take a break and come into spaces where they can enjoy your tourism offerings. And in that, we do need, adding on to what my colleague said, we do need those private-public partnerships. We do need the financial services sectors to actually try and work with our entrepreneurs and to loosen a bit of their bureaucracy, where we can, how do we help you to actually grow as an entrepreneur? Because oftentimes the red tape is the one that discourage one to enter into the entrepreneurship and to grow. We can't be small businesses. For how long are we going to talk about small businesses? We need growth, and we need financial sector to come into play and actually support differently.
We'll soon be handing over to Mr. Shaw for some question and answer session. I wanted to, you talk about the tourism product as well. Before I come to you, and then we'll hand over to Shaw. But what does that package looks like? You're talking about tourism package, when it's a finished, because sometimes it's made of many components as well. When you want to sell your product, to say you're traveling, you get to here, How does it look like? Because I think we need to, the nitty-gritties, the technical know-how, so that we have a picture. Yeah.
We are one industry. There's something called the tourism model, meaning that we need infrastructure, transport, destination marketing offices. We need the actual attraction. We need also the locals, because people are looking for an experience. How did I experience Rustenburg? And you will hear people say the people are very friendly. So all of these things need to be really taken into consideration. We need the travel agencies. We know nowadays with the growth of technology, people nowadays are wary of just booking online, because we've heard of a lot of things that have not gone right. So we still need some of the brick and mortar travel agencies. So there's a whole lot of businesses that goes into planning a trip and into that package. Food, the hospitality, agriculture. What did you eat in the morning? You know, all of these things, we need to think of them and package them in order for you to be competitive in the market.
Dali, if you allow me,
Yes.
sorry to interject. I'm sure this is something that the mayor and the province is looking into, but it's a huge potential for Northwest and Rustenburg in the sporting field. I mean, you now have a PSL team. There's no reason why we cannot have Orlando Pirates versus Orbit College. I would love to come, as a Pirates fan, I would love to come to the Northwest to watch my team playing in Rustenburg. Obviously, they're going to beat your team, but that is a story for another day. But, I mean, Rustenburg, Northwest has a huge potential in that field. I mean, a lot of people from Soweto, Pretoria, us, the Orlando Pirates fans, we will come here. We will spend money in Rustenburg. We always spend money. We book hotels, and then we buy from the entrepreneurs that are selling around the stadium, make noise. The people who are running pubs, clubs, they will make a lot of money just from one game. One game that is playing over 90 minutes can make so much impact in Rustenburg. So it's something that I'm sure the mayor is looking into, but as a Pirates fan, I would want to come here and watch my team in Rustenburg beating Opits.
Lastly,
Yeah.
on the tourism, Dali, we also have vast land in Rustenburg. We have many other opportunities where resorts are taken. Just come here for one event. You'll see all the Sun Cities are fully booked, the Royal Marangs are fully booked. So I think we need to also explore on available land for infrastructure. Let's develop new resorts. I can name 5 available lands from the top of my head that I know of that are there, but are not being used. We are waiting for some Chinese company to come and beat us to it. And if they are there, there's nothing wrong with you, Chinese company, coming, but please can we partner and build? Because we have the vision. As you have rightfully said, the heritage is ours. We are proud. We are from here. So can we actually share also what that resort, for instance, could look like? Because there are many vacant lands that would offer excellent resort experience with beautiful sceneries. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is so. I think that some of these issues are going to come through our panel, our discussion from the floor. I want to just give you your summary in terms of some of the points before we hand over for the discussion. I don't know if it was intentional. Yesterday on my way here on the N4, because it's about less than an hour to reach here, but my GPS keep on saying I must leave the N4 and drive across and get into other cities and move. So I'm thinking, I don't know if this was a marketing genius or maybe my GPS was saying, but it keeps on saying, leave the N4 and come back from the back route. So they wanted me to experience. Because it was a bit late, I was like, you know what, it's okay, I will experience the beautiful N4 into Rustenburg. So, yes.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Just very quickly, on the infrastructure, most definitely we may have good infrastructure now, things like roads, but they require maintenance. And that's where, as my colleague Dr. Lesedi mentioned, that the collaboration with private sector, is critically important, because government, the municipality, have so much, resources to be upkeep with that. But with that, I also would like to share with the audience to say, Our president, principal and vice chancellor, Prof. Linkabula, has 10 catalytic niches, which are our marching orders. And in them, there is aviation and aeronautical studies. And that's where issues like things like drone, come in. Because we will talk about traffic, things are not going to change. If anything, they're going to get worse. The question is what do we do about this problem. Another critical point, which I don't think has featured in our discussion, is feminist women and Bosadi theorization, which is one of the 10 catalytic niches. Just for example, if you look, the gentlemen who are in this hall, we're looking neat. And behind this, there's a woman. And these are some of the practical, things that... So let's take care of our sisters, our mothers, our wives, and so on and so forth. But one last point that I want to make is, one of the 10 catalytic niches is student support and co-curricular activities. The reason why I see this very important is that, some of the things that we are teaching have been done 100 years ago, but we have got new problems now. But the question is, where are we getting the mandate to say this is the way to go? And for that, I call upon the executive mayor and the various leaders who are here, to collaborate with UNISA and say, this is our problems and we would like these things to feature in the curriculum. That way we will be heading in the right direction, because we are not just being theoretical, but we are starting to address real issues. And finally, I've been saying finally, this is real finally, is that our research, are farmer and community centered. Once again, this is so that we come close to the reality of research that we do, and not just, publish tons and tons of papers and present them in conferences, yet problems are escalating. Thank you.
All right. They deserve a round of applause. Definitely. Thank you so much. So I'm told that you will remain to your seat, because there will be a number of issues that we might want to expand or respond to from the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Tali. No, I think it's correct. And as we agreed when we started this conversation, that we are going to have an inclusive discussion. Part of our guests today, we have people from the financial sector representing ABSA, Standard Bank. We've got government sector from the national, provincial, local, across all sectors within the topics they're speaking to. We have the mining sector here. We have Impala, we have Sibanye, we have Glencoe, we have Valterra, we have Samanco, all present here. Samanco, yeah, I think I'll mention them as we move along. We also have social sector, which are organizations leading the businesses, from your forums to your secondary cooperatives. We have the business community and the tourism community here. So our discussion will move around that, and I'm going to go around to get inputs from participants here. And I might ask that let us keep our inputs direct to the point, not more than 2 minutes, at most try 1 minute, but not so that we allow others to make inputs and we can have a fruitful discussion. As also stating, as Rustenburg Local Municipality, we are serious about inclusive growth. We're in the process now, supported by Cocktail and Saga. We are reviewing our LED strategy, local community strategy. So some of these inputs will really be taken into consideration in that process. We have an agricultural development support program that has been approved by council and is currently being implemented. We have flagship projects like your Sunflower Development Project, which we'll speak to, and other programs. We have an enterprise development program also, which covers all sectors of business in terms of your support, your market access, your compliance support, and so on. So as a municipality, we are really saying we are there and moving ahead. And in terms of the investment space, we even have a policy that tries to encourage investment and incentives policy to see how we can assist investors when they come in here in terms of rebates and levies. So as a municipality, we are really serious about this business and we want to see Rustenburg grow. I'll start our discussion here in the tourism sector. I'm going to ask the participants or the contributors to just introduce themselves, but Ms. Moketi, just to give us some input around destination marketing, and how it contributes to the economic growth and diversification. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. My name is Sebaka Mogeti, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of the Northwest Parks and Tourism Board. So the Northwest Parks and Tourism Board, our key mandate is broken down into conservation, hospitality training, as well as destination marketing. So today I'm just going to be giving some inputs on how then destination marketing contributes then to the G20 objectives, but also to today's topic, focusing on inclusive growth and on just transition and sustainability. As you know, as a province, we're a beautiful province. We really are. We've got amazing attractions and experiences, but we're also a predominantly rural province. So we need to remember that most of our tourism products lie within villages and lie within small townships and dorpies in and around the Northwest province. And one thing, or the advantage rather, when we looked at the G20 partner countries, is the fact that as a province, when we look at our top 10 international source markets, I'm proud to say that the USA in the G20 partners ranks #1 internationally, and so does the UK is also #2. We've got Germany in there as well in the top 10, as well as Canada. So this is an opportunity for us, having the G20 coming to South Africa. I know it's going to be held in Gauteng and in Johannesburg, but our close proximity to Gauteng really then gives us, I would say, an advantage to say we're so close. Literally, Lanzeria is a stone throw away from Gauteng province, and OR Tambo is not that far away as well. We have a visitor information center that's strategically placed at the International Arrivals Terminal at OR Tambo, and we're going to be having a series of activations to make sure that people landing in South Africa to come and attend G20 also know about the Northwest and its offerings. But on the topic of destination marketing, as a province, we're really trying to reposition ourselves as a destination that can really find its footing and fight for space in the business events or the MICE space. Sun City, of course, has a world-class ICC, but there's smaller establishments in and around, especially Bojanala as a district and Rustenburg local municipality. So as we bid for tenders, for MICE tenders, we try and not just sell Sun City, but to try and sell Pogeng as a MICE destination of choice within the province as well. So I think the local municipalities are aware of the fact that we're always trying to say to them, let's collaborate in bringing this in. But another thing that I think Dr. Lesedi Nduna and I heard a little bit earlier on, the importance of packaging, ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, our major objective is to try and increase the length of stay of a tourist coming into Rustenburg or a tourist coming into the Northwest province. And we can only do so by collaboration, which now speaks on that topic or one of the themes of solidarity. Literally, as we know, tourism is government-led, private sector-driven, and community-owned. So community-based tourism is very important. A little bit earlier, one of the panelists as well touched on the fact that we don't have enough beds within Rustenburg, and actually within the entire province. Sun City has a major event happening this weekend. I can tell you right now that literally from Rustenburg all the way to Moses Kotane, there's literally not any available beds. So this creates an opportunity for people trying to break into the tourism industry. Let's try diversify. Let's try, if you can't open up, we don't have the financial resources to open up a guest house or to open up a hotel, we need to look at homestays. We need to look at venturing into the Airbnb space to make sure that, because our international tourists coming in, honestly and truly, and we've had the pleasure of hosting post-Indaba and post-Meetings Africa, some of our European source markets, they want to go to Pogeng so that they can experience the Chisangam experience. They want to go into Muruleng so that they can go to Pebatu Cultural Museum and get to know about the Botswana culture. So when we are packaging and we're marketing our province, what we try to do is let's stop looking at what Gauteng is doing, let's stop looking at what the Western Cape or the KZN is doing as well. But what sets us apart from other destinations as well. But also tourism is a very easy sector to get into, ladies and gentlemen, with or without any type of formal qualification. It's honestly one of those catalysts that can really assist us in reducing the very high unemployment rates that we have in the province. And we know that this especially impacts on youth, it especially impacts on people with disabilities and women as well. So that's another thing that we're looking at. But also with community-based tourism, and I'm nearly done, we need to make sure that the minute you include your community members into now becoming, or benefiting rather, economically from tourism and from destination marketing, we go into the sustainability element now, or just transition of the G20 theme and the topic that we're discussing today. Once somebody can benefit economically from something, now you're forced to become an ambassador of now, how do we preserve our natural resources to make sure that they can be used for future generations, but how do we then also make sure that we contribute towards reducing the carbon footprint, and most importantly as well, how do we then go green? And this is a conversation that we really need to try, and I think with the UNISA professors and doctors on the stage as well, making it more attractive for young people to get into the space, by not just showing them the economic benefits that they can reap, but also then how do they become ambassadors of their own communities and growing them as well. I think I'll comment again later. Thank you.
They switched me off. Speak of legislature, you must show me how you switch people off in parliament. Now we'll move along, just to try and merge tourism and agriculture. We'll ask Ntate Andrew Apane from Afasa just to bring it in together. Thanks. In 1 minute.
Esteemed guests, NAFASA members, farmers and ranchers, and all the mining individuals that are here, the G20 communities. I saw that we got the speaker of our legislature here. It's very interesting that she's here. People, just to give you a bit of a history, she was an MEC of Agriculture and MEC of Tourism. So she's the right person to be here. All right, what are we on in Rustenburg? I mean, we all know that Rustenburg has been known as one of the platinum municipalities. But the question is, what lies underneath? We know it's platinum. And then what lies on top? That's what we have to look at. I mean, we know that we got what I call it a green gold, and this green gold really needs to be explored in terms of agriculture and tourism and wildlife. So what we are saying as NOFASA, we really want to call upon government, private sectors, and partners and international allies of G20 to strengthen market access for African farmers. Most important, fund rural infrastructure, because we know the state of our rural infrastructure, because we want the rural infrastructure to connect the produce to the world. Encourage responsible investment that values both people and planet, especially in our rural areas. So we're really saying that a rural economy is one of our priorities that we need to look at and see how does the G20 assist us in making sure that our rural economy is achieved. Rustenburg region holds immense potential of agri-wildlife integration. We all know that. A model that we are proposing is where conservation and farming coexist. Game farming, ecotourism, lodges, and mixed-use agriculture estates are boosting incomes, creating employment in our municipality, and drawing international visitors. Actually, if you go back into the news, the most expensive buffalo was sold in Rustenburg. So we are sitting in a jam indeed. So what we want to consider is agro-processing of crops. We have spoken about the sunflower. There's another gem that we really need to look at, which is a citrus. We all know that South Africa is #1 citrus exporter in the world. And we do have the land that is capable of producing this citrus. So it's one of the challenges that we can take it to G20, because as we know, citrus is an international fruit that is being exported. Actually, we export more citrus than we use local here. So it's one of those things that we are saying as NAFASA that let's look at it and see how can we explore that. Wildlife tourism supports small enterprises from lodges to crafts markets. We really need to take these crafts markets very seriously and make sure that the people that are employed, that live around the area like Pilanesberg, what do we do to those people so that they can use the byproduct of these huntings, the byproduct of our animal, and achieve what we call it the craftsman, and then we can take those crafts and sell it in the international markets. So there's a lot of opportunity within what I just spoke about. Our call of action, like we say, strengthen our markets and make sure that our rural infrastructure is developed and make sure that we integrate both tourism, agriculture, and mining. And mining it's an important thing. We got what we call rehabilitations of mines, and during the rehabilitation of mines, that's a time that we are putting back the land to the original state. And the original state is only one thing, it's farming and ecotourism. So how do we use that together in terms of getting together and making sure that we achieve that? In conclusion, sir, when the farmer prosper, the community prosper. When the land is cared for, the nation flourishes. When solidarity, equality, and sustainability guided our action, the G20 vision of inclusive global growth becomes our reality right here in Rustenburg. I thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. As you also ended your discussion around the mining space, I'd like to request, as you said, we're having a discussion, colleagues, Ntate Kabele Mondli to give us input from the mining space. Remember, this discussion that we're in, we want proposals, we want inputs in terms of discussion. So let me hand over to Ntate Kabele Mondli from Glencoe.
Dumela Magolo. From mining, let me just start by saying, in terms of the Glencoe, on sustainability, our strategy is underpinned by four pillars: safety, health, environment, community, and human rights. And obviously, we ensure that we comply with that by complying with the laws of the country. But one important thing that I hear it coming often is the private public partnership. And it's also a question of what is going to happen after mining. Now, I can come here and demonstrate the project that we have done in terms of a private partnership. One of that is the call by the president with regard to the Tutuzela Center. We have built a very beautiful Tutuzela Center at our Steelport Valley. We are also supporting some of our satellite Tutuzela centers, including building a steel bridge that we have done in partnership with the mines. But this is where I want to talk to in terms of the challenge. I can say a lot, and maybe mines have done a lot as well in the community. We are really contributing in our communities. But here is the challenge that I would want this forum to also look into. It is very expensive to do mining in South Africa. That is one of the issues that we need to be looking into. Secondly, when it comes to the issues of community development, our government has developed a very beautiful tool called social and labor plan. What we want a social and labor plan is a strong, or we can use it as a strong tool for inclusive growth. If we do it right, if we don't do it in silos. Our proposal would be that we need to be seeing a joint mining community forum so that the social and labor plan can be aligned to the IDPs, including that they can be coordinated so that we can talk about sustainable projects. Because we know, all of us sitting here, sometimes as a mine, I will choose a smaller project there and then I do it. But if we can have a structure that drives all this project, like the executive mayor has said, this is a mining city, and this has to be shown. So we need that as a proposal that we put in forward from them. I'm not sure about other mines, but for us it's very, 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 very important so that this SLP can be coordinated and come up with a sustainable project, and at the same time address the project that will be addressing the issue that all of us are talking about, which is what will happen after the mine. So this project, this SLP, must talk to those issues if they are correctly and rightly coordinated. That is what we can put forward. We can speak the whole day about what we have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Kabelo. I'd also like to note hands for people who want to participate. I've noted 1 there, 2, okay, 3, 4. Okay, I'll come as we move. We're not going to repeat what one has inputted. That's what I ask. And then we take it, and the speaker, I'll get there. I can ask Ansel to give us an input from the tourism space and the organization. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ansel, and today I'm representing RATA. RATA is the Rustenburg Tourism Association, and we represent all the small entities in the tourism industry. Today I hear a lot of stuff, and actually it's been a while since I've been to a meeting like this. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of big talk. We've done this, we've done that. But we as a community, we don't see it, we don't hear it. So today a word that stands out for me is access. You've mentioned that access is difficult. That's true. As a small entrepreneur, as a small individual, a small student, a random person, to access the industry, regardless what industry, it's difficult because of compliance. Not even money, we don't even talk about money. But where do I go to? I have this idea. What do I do with it? My opinion from the tourism department is to say, we need to structure the industries correctly. So in order to work together, to be unified, we need to create the structure in a better line. Where do we go to? We start community, association, local municipality. From the municipality, we have the district, Bojanala, Northwest Tourism. And at the end, we all have the same goal, and we need to work together. Because now we all have our own ideas, and we want to do it in separate ways, but we need to start working together. If we work together, and we have access, all the other will go naturally into place. Today is a reminder for everybody that the G20 is something that started small with an idea and that became something huge. We all have an idea that needs to grow, but we need the access.
Thank you, Ansel. Thank you, Ansel.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here representing a company called Kifensengwe Saffron. We're farming the world's most expensive spice in Matopestad, which is a region of the Rustenburg municipality. And the challenges that we've encountered, having begun in 2021, is the issue of water rights and water usage, because in as much as we apply to the mines and to the departments, the suggestion is if we can streamline information regarding the application of and possibly look at funding it through a voucher system, perhaps with the mines or through the agricultural programs in Rustenburg. Alongside the challenge of water usage is the challenge of prepping land that is available, which is the environmental impact that needs to then be approved for the farmland to be used. So another challenge that we're having is the access to the jobs fund, which would then assist the agriculturalists to get labor onto the farms. So if we could discuss and chat about how we streamline information across mining, tourism, and agriculture, and see how we grow agriculture from it being the minimum of 3 to 6% across the country, to grow it to become a GDP contributor such as mining in Rustenburg, using the CSI initiatives of the mines. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dumelang bagaetsho. Eh, Firstly, let me acknowledge and appreciate the invitation extended to me. I wish to stand on the protocol already established this morning. Thank you very much. And thank you to our panel. Mayor, I see we are being challenged by the panel as lawmakers. And rest assured, one of the things we are looking into is how we deal with the old ordinance that make it difficult for a number of things to survive. So this is one of the things we are looking into. I'm happy to hear from tourism. COP30 will be starting in a week or so. My concern is, have you made your input that your representative that will be in Brazil at COP30 are able to bring forth our input as South Africa, as the Northwest, as Rustenburgers, as everybody in the province? That is very critical. The reason why I'm raising that, 3 weeks ago, I put a motion in Commonwealth to say we want justice as Africa on climate change. The contributors to emission are the developed country, and they go away with crime. Nothing happened to them. So we as Africa, we spoke with one voice that we want justice. They must be penalized, they must pay, because for as long as, Professor, we don't address this issue of climate change, all this food insecure country is a pipe dream. We will never achieve this climate change if these developed countries continue to behave the way they are behaving. Until somebody become bold and say, this must be done. G20 must be a ladder for us as Africa to say enough is enough. We can no longer accept that we are not on the table, we are giving crumbs. It's not just a ticking a note to say, at least they have made us a favor as Africa to be part of G20. We want to be on the table. We want to take resolution and decisions on the table. So it will be important that G20 bring this to us, and we are able as a country to overcome a lot. We are crying foul every day that government is not doing anything for us. But government sometimes it sits back when it has to be firm on this developed country. I'm happy that peppers they have reconsidered, they are giving us money. But we are not happy about that. We need more. Our minerals have enriched them. What do we have? Crumbs. We're looking at the policy of mining. We can't be a mining province, but we don't have a say. And we are told that you can't say anything. People come here with license, which we don't even know where these licenses are coming from. Who are they? Who said the people of Rustenburg don't have what it takes to be the miners, be the owners of mine? These are some of the things that some of us, we are not apologetic, we are taking them head on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Gore le nna be ke file tšhono ya go latlhela la Motlapitso. Mme ke re ke acknowledge all the important role players by simply saying all protocol observed. I'm very much afraid, Honorable Doctor, to say, why did you steal my notes? But be that as it may, I strongly believe that this particular platform, it's one of those particular platforms that we keep talking. I mean, we've got a dinosaur in the room. We've got an opportunity as a country to go and make our mark. I mean, we're very good in policies. I mean, and we must continue developing such beautiful policies. But the challenge that we have is the dinosaur that we are having, not an elephant. The dinosaur that we are having in the room, being the developed countries and us as a developing nation. How do we address that? Because in that particular folder, I strongly believe that we have big brothers and those who are stepchildren. That is our challenge. And if we can't confront that, after encapsulating all those beautiful policy, whatever submissions that we need to submit in that particular folder, this will be one of those futile exercises that we have embarked upon as a country, taking note that we have hosted a number of international events. One of those beautiful events was a World Summit on Sustainable Development. In that particular summit, we developed so many resolutions. But today, as I'm seated here or as I'm participating in this particular folder, I can identify a very significant progress we have registered insofar as those resolutions are concerned. So my input is that we are going to welcome these particular countries. But up until we deal with these particular challenges, we are not going to address the challenges that we are facing as a nation. We're talking about mining. In this particular room, there are captains of industries who are supposed to be part and parcel of this particular meeting. I'm not so sure as to how many CEOs of those particular mines are here, because most of them, they represent the interest of these outside countries. And if we don't attend to that, as a nation, I don't see us as a society reaching the desired destiny that our forebears, our late leaders, the founders of the democracy of this particular country, our Nelson Mandela, will realize that. So the land question. These countries, they are owning most of the land. For us to achieve those particular valuable inputs those comrades have raised, be it agriculture, be it inclusive economy, you can't realize all those things if you are landless. We remain landless as a society, regardless of being the majority. So I wanted to raise a number of things, but because of time, I don't want to be penalized that this particular individual, being Mr. Gabriel Nkweng, a socialist, an activist, a leader in his own right, spoke too much in this particular gathering. I thank you very much.
We are about to close the floor here. Last speakers, I'm really pleading with you, keep it short so that others can have a chance, because this plane, I need to land it soon. Thanks.
I know the voice of young people is intimidating. No, thank you. My name is Tumelo Matthews Gaihaki. I just want to tap on what the speakers were talking about, but also raise my concerns towards this G20 summit. One, if we want to deal, we are really talking about unity in terms of advancing economy of this country and these other countries in support. I believe it will be a cosmetic unity if we don't speak of issue of currency between all these countries, including United States, that is usually suppressing and oppressing developing countries like South Africa. Here in Northwest, where we are and where the summit will take place, we are in a situation where the unemployment is extremely high across the country. We are sitting at 54.7% of unemployment. Noting the fact that also we have a mining industry which contribute highly in terms of GDP of South Africa. And you ask yourself a question, what does this mining industry do to ensure that this issue of unemployment rate comes to a lower level? But I want to come here. In Rustenburg also, we are facing an issue of influx in terms of population. Having that particular influx of the population, you witness that here also we don't have high institution of learning. We just have UNISA. And UNISA, by the way, it has its own limitation in terms of accepting students or learners, potential learners who can able to proceed with their studies. You have the OBIT, and the OBIT, it has its own limitations. And when you look in terms of high schools that we have in Rustenburg, there are more, meaning that majority of them, they cannot be accommodated into this institution, which are limited. Now my question is coming into a level where, what is this G20 is seeking, will help us in terms of ensuring that the university that we have been talking about in Rustenburg is coming to a realization. Because without education, the economy that you are talking about is not going to be realized. Without a high institution of learning, the economy that you're talking about is going to benefit people outside Rustenburg, not those who were incubated from here in Rustenburg. Last one, my brother, of my friend. We have SMMEs. SMMEs that are coming are increasing now and then in Rustenburg. And these G20 countries, I want to understand, and I'm agreeing with you, Prof, that UNISA is giving more output of students, but thereafter they become just useless, not with a limitation of employment. So we really need to address this issue in terms of to check what did these countries of G20, are we in unity of economy to maintain their standard, like the latter speaker was saying, that they are the captain of industries and they are the one who are running economy in the country. The likes of, I can see Europe countries and the Western one. This is to maintain their business here, or are they here to ensure that at least they anchor economy of the country? Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Now we move to an ad break of 15 seconds, elevator pitch.
All right. Afternoon, people. My name is Kefenza Matupe from Matupestad. As my partner has said it, we're farming saffron. I would just like to say to the agriculture people, because you've mentioned citrus and other plants, can you please look into farming more saffron into the Northwest? And for the tourism, we've got a product of saffron. We've got saffron water and saffron iced tea. We would like to see them when the tourists come, they must find saffron products, local products inside. As for, we can see the countries that are here. Spain is red flag on top. It represents saffron. You can Google, I don't have too much time. Can you please Google saffron benefits? Then you'll be able to see what kind of benefits saffron offers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This is a good story to tell. This is a farmer from Rustenburg, farming in saffron, agro-processing it into iced tea and water saffron. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. I think, Program Director, you must allow us to raise just few words. And we must agree that we are coming from the working class community based on our condition, existence, and location. I'm raising this question to ask the panelists because number of countries that will be coming to South Africa, in terms of their nature, they are neoliberal. And they are interested in business, of which business by its nature is great. Now, for example, the mining indaba is now organized as we speak, Executive Mayor. And people who are organizing the mining indaba in our country, South Africa, are foreign countries, specifically from the Great Britain, the United Kingdom, in our own country, based on our own minerals. And the Freedom Charter that we fought for, it dictates that whatever that is underneath the soil belongs to the people. Now, and at the level of local municipality, the executive mayor in most occasions, there will be people who will be pointing a finger at her in terms of what is happening around the mining houses that we have. But at the level of local government, as a municipality, she don't have direct, if one can say, in terms of the legislation, to engage them in terms of what must happen. For example, Prof. Njeje, the headquarters of all those who are digging here, who are doing mining, they are in Melrose, in Gauteng. They are not even in Rustenburg to look at the situation and the material condition. Ya batho ba mo Rustenburg hore ba phela byang. And we have just raised an important point in terms of the land, because if we want to get our country right, we must think about the land, because everything that we have comes from the land, including the root of agriculture. Now, I just want to get a point from you in terms of agriculture. Will we be assisting the government, because agriculture is what we call self-reliance, because if then they unlock resources that they have been talking about, there will be a number of people who will not go and look for a job. And we have just indicated that even students from UNISA that are graduating from UNISA, they are unable to get jobs based on the bottleneck that we have in this country. Now, I want to get from you, Hore, if we go the route of agriculture in terms of your vegetable gardens and agriculture processes, what we call self-reliance, we will not be relying on our own government. The panelist from international relations, in my conclusion, you spoke about unity of Africa to make sure that whatever that we are mining in our country, this but I want to check from us as South Africa, as we are the president of G20, have we learned something from Burkina Faso? From the president of Burkina Faso in the form of Captain Traoré, and the president of Namibia, currently, they are not taking their end products to any other foreign country. They are doing whatever that needs to be done in their own African countries. And if you look at the agricultural development of Burkina Faso for the past 5 years, you will be excited in terms of how they deal with that. So I just want to check whether do we have the teeth to bite in terms of influencing the G20 countries, so that the socio-economic issues must be working class biased.
let me quickly rise on the protocol that has already been established. I'm coerced by the program director to say a few words. I think it's important for us I'm Dr. Upankakisang, by the way. I think it's important for us when we start to engage on matters of this nature, that we must try and not see things in isolation and try to weave everything together. Where I also come from a very humble background. I'm born of one of the 9 kids from my home. I'm the only one who actually progressed school until university and becoming a doctor. So I know the pains of what we go through. And I think it is important for us when we also talk, and I also must point out that I stayed in Rustenburg for 10 years, and I still have a house in Rustenburg, so I know the pain that we are talking about. And I'm saying this because when we look at how diverse we are in the room and the contributions that are made from the mining sector and the tourism sector, I think it's important for us to also go back and look at what other sectors can be grown. And the fact that we are looking at sectors in isolation, it actually also distorts the ability of the economy to grow in a way that it should. I also listen with interest how the, let me say politicians, for lack of any better word, how they express themselves in terms of lamenting the issues that we are dealing with on a daily basis of non-growth of the economy and so on. But I was thinking at the same time that it's also important for our politicians and our lawmakers to understand that they actually have the power in their hands to make a difference. So do not lament when you have power. Utilize the power for the power to actually help us to do what we need to do. My contribution is quite simple, that the area within which we find ourselves in, it's a mining environment. And in the main, it is based, it's premised on 4 of the SDGs, UN SDGs, one of which is clean water, sanitation, affordable and clean energy, industry, innovation and infrastructure, responsible consumption and production. I'll quickly run on these ones and say, this is a platform that actually lays bare to us what we should be doing. And for us to look at all these that we are talking about today, we need to understand that the mines must make a meaningful contribution in the sector within which we find ourselves. It is also important for us to also understand that when we talk about this type of sector, the sector itself, it is also faced with a number of challenges, one of which is illicit mining that actually kills the industry. There are people who are meaning well to actually come and contribute within the sector. And these people are the ones that are actually making sure that at least there's some growth that we should see in the sector. Very importantly so, is that the industry, whether it be tourism, mining, or any other, I'm sure it seeks to also make a contribution to the socio-economic environment within which they operate. But the environment by its nature should be such that people need to have a way of being able to have a receptive approach to some of these things. That when things are not going well or happening the way they should, then they must actually come forth and say, we actually think things should be done in this way. There are quite a number of issues, and I know my brothers stood there from the mining sector, where mines actually should correctly so collaborate and be strong and have marquee projects that can actually leave a lasting legacy. We often talk about pre and current mining, but we forget there's post-mining. So most of the companies should also be looking at post-mining and making sure that this finite environment that we find ourselves in, and I always call mining a finite environment because it's not like a peach tree. You can have peaches this year, and they will finish, and winter will come, the following year you'll have peaches again. But unfortunately, when you mine, at some point in time, the commodity will end. So the question is, how do you make sure that beyond mining, post-mining, the communities find themselves in a better state? You can only have this if you have skilled people who can run organizations like the lady was saying earlier on. You can only have this when you have people who are actually genuine business people, because sometimes you have people who coerce various industries, including mining, where they stand at the gate of a mine and say, you don't give us business opportunities, and you ask a question, so what is your skill? They say, no, tell us what you can give us, and then we'll tell you. It doesn't work like that. People must have this tenacity and the drive to do things in the correct way. And I want to close off by saying, when all these things happen, and they happen at our behest, we should look back and say, what contribution are we bringing to the table? And I think it is for all of us sitting here to look at making sure that everything else that we talk about, we weave together and making sure that the economy can grow. The politicians must do their job and give us regulation. The business people must come to the party and make sure that they are able to create opportunities. Those that seek employment must go out and get the relevant skill for us to grow. You know, I am one person who always says to people, I'm black and I'm proud. And I know how I grew up. But I made it my effort in life to make sure that I have a skill that nobody can actually contest. Because when I stand in front of anybody, I can contest a position. And I want us as a country to be like that. Look at Japan, look at China. When they stand on the basis of them having skill. And that is why when they talk about skill, nobody can doubt that. So let us lament, but let us also reduce our effort of crying and say, let us stand up and have the skill that when we go and say we want business, we can produce like the gentleman was producing. He can show that this is what he's doing. And some of us are not able to do that. And I just want to plead with everyone and say, collectively, we should be strong. Jointly, we'll be a better country. Thank you so much.
So, thanks. So as business, government, and social sector, we need to ensure we prepare all our businesses across all sectors to be ready via compliance so they can participate in that economy and grow. I'll allow the financial sector to make an input. That's it.
All right, thank you so much, Program Director. My name is Walter Mohotsi, so I do represent Standard Bank. I serve as the provincial head for public sector and the education sector in the province. So I just want to put it to the forum here that Standard Bank already is a prominent participant in G20 through us being a lead sponsor for the B20 South Africa 2025, which is the official business engagement forum that provides policy recommendations to the G20 Leadership Summit. So our CE is the chairperson of the task force for that particular leadership that drives those policy recommendations. So what is core that I want to put to the forum is that the main thing that we participate for is advocacy for Africa. And how do we do it? And it is through our involvement as a bank by leveraging through this platform for G20 to advocate for African interests, such as boosting intra-African trade, promoting infrastructure, investment, but also addressing challenges like climate change and financial inclusion. If you have listened carefully to the panel there was much emphasis on collaboration. And I must say, for us as an organization, collaboration is core and is very critical to sustainability, but also driving economic development initiatives. And how do we drive financial inclusion as an organization? Very critical is to support women in business, because those are the marginalized. And that's how we can then make a better contribution to this that we've gathered for here today. And we believe in doing that at Standard Bank, because for me, banking is a humane endeavor. We are about prosperity or enabling prosperity using the resources or leveraging on the resources that we have as an institution, but also driving financial literacy for individuals, but at the same time SMMEs for better growth. But also we are prioritizing providing accessible and affordable financial services to all within our societies, encouraging savings, investments, and capital accumulation for better prosperity and leaving a lasting legacy. This is more to drive a change in mindset for us as Africans. So let us utilize banks for prosperity and success of what we are gathered here for. Because our aim is to ensure that we continue to boost SMMEs, entrepreneurship, and through access to variable solutions. As you know, or those who don't know, as a Standard Bank, we are represented in 20 African countries. And we are also driven by our group purpose, which is then Africa is our growth. We drive her growth. And how do we bring it home? Northwest is our home. We drive her growth. So let's join hands, let's collaborate, let's work together in making sure that we don't become a talk show, but we become implementers of what we are gathered here for. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, thank you. We really need to access those resources to unlock all these sectors, meaning your tourism, agriculture, and yeah, there you are.
Okay, thank you all. Good afternoon to everybody here. I am Oarato Masilo. I am very experienced in all the sectors here. There is no question that you can ask me that I cannot answer in relation to mining, the energy sector, project development. I've been to European countries. The reason why I'm saying that is I feel like we are underrepresented as a youth in Rustenburg. I studied in Rustenburg. I studied in Wits University. I studied in Rustenburg High School. I went to UCT, as I mentioned. I've been to other institutions in Europe. Unfortunately, at Wits University, I used to meet pupils who were funded by Rustenburg local municipality. I, however, was never afforded that opportunity. I was struggling through my parents helping me. The reason why I mentioned that is I've engaged with most of the sectors of all of the stakeholders who are here, and most of you guys would not know me, but I am very, very key and clued up in a lot of industries that you guys are here. So I would just like to use this platform for everybody here who's seeing me right now to engage me later on. Any solution, any problem that you have, I would like to address it. And I would like to be given the opportunity to represent Rustenburg at G20 as the youth, so that we can come up with situations. Simple things like avoiding traffic closures in Sunrise. Let's open another road. We are having a lot of challenges. Those areas are areas that can also support the tourism sector that can grow up. I see a lot of pioneers who are in youth. I see Katlego from Mohopedi Adventures. I see Budumela Mataba from the agriculture. We are really trying to do that, but we need the support and we need our voices to be heard as the youth of Rustenburg. So I am here, I'm available. I do not represent any political party, I'm an independent. Please consult me.
Your voice is heard. The executive mayor has allowed me to allow people to engage. So I'm going to do that. Thank you.
Audible. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, very important people. I'm not going to be putting the protocol because it's going to take from my 2 minutes that I'm given. I'm going to go straight to the business. Introduction. I am Koliswa Tanga, the Secretary of the Chamber of Commerce of Women in Business in Rustenburg, as well as the Director of South Africans Interest Business Forum, the Director of Kolisi Enterprise, which is a manufacturing company of steel components, steel fabrication. Me Busielo, we share the sentiment. We are really battling to get into business, more especially with the mine industry. We are dedicated companies. As I have mentioned, 2 bodies that are representing SMMEs. The other one is mainly for women and the other one is not gender-based. I have a list of compliant manufacturers that are battling with compliance, manufacturing, and penetration into the mine industry. And the other main factor that is paining us is that we need workshops for our manufacturing businesses. We do not have land for the workshops. We rent it out from the non-citizens, which is taking so much money from the companies. That is why companies are ending up closed before you know it. I know that I have the relevant people in here. MEC sa rona ke go thusa setšhaba. Ntate Rampo, thusa setšhaba sa gago. Re tlhoka fela lefatshe, we will build our own workshops. Re tlhoka fela lefatshe, we will build our own workshops. And with the compliance, the mining, ke lebogela gore be le tlile. Thank you very much for coming. When we do not have the compliance that we are required to have, the quality management systems and them, the ISO 9001 and them, they are very expensive. We want to have those. We want to operate. We want to be very much compliant. However, we are ready to operate. We are ready to operate. The least you can do is to let us operate on your side for you to see that we have capacity. If we're operating on your side, even if our workshop are not compliant, but we can perform on your side, then with the profit that we're getting from the projects on site, we will be able to procure land and build our own workshops, then provide employment to our communities. To the tourism department, can you please introduce the new reality on tourism? The tourism is focusing on the 5-star hotels, 4-star hotels, 3-star hotels. But the reality is that when you travel, you want to see the reality about the place that you're going. You want to see those people that are bathing from the plastic dish, fetching water direct from the tap, then take it to the house where there is no sewage systems. People want to see that. People want to see the reality of those businesses that are operating in the informal settlements. People want to see the production that came from the informal settlements, from the townships, from the rural areas, from the villages. The production that is coming from those companies, it's real production. It's not SABS approved and blah, 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 but the reality is it's good quality products that is coming from those workshops. So if you're going to be doing the G20 tourism, I think you need to have, you know, those trucks that takes people to the game farms to see the elephants and them. We need those trucks to take the tours for people to see the reality of the employers that are not regarded as employers because they are based in places that are not in a certain class and not in the certain criteria. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Thank you very much, Program Director. And I also want to write on the protocol that has already been established. My name is Martin Pieters. I head up shared services for Impala Platinum, and I think thank you for the invitation, Program Director, to the session is in order. Now, from Impala perspective, there is so much that we've done as a company. When we start counting the numbers, we'll be saying we've spent in excess of 10 billion rand in terms of our SLP over the last 17 years. But the thing that really pains us is when it comes to the business environment, we see that our SMMEs are really struggling within the area. So I think the first thing I wanted to mention is when it comes to our SMMEs, compliance, like Mayor has indicated earlier, is really a major issue. We spend a lot of time on training SMMEs, helping them how to fill out bill of quantities, how to do marketing, how to do all of that. But once all of that has been done, and they now have to operate and interact with the business, The first level of financing that they usually qualify for is at the level where they are fully compliant. So when we talk about this sort of support, grant systems that even being made available from a CEDA perspective, these things need to be shifted to focus on getting the SMMEs at the points where they are so they can meet the compliance hurdles in order to do business with the mining company or any company for that matter in the country. It is almost like the current funding systems that we have in the country, even at the CEDA level, is saying, I am prepared to give somebody a bursary in order for him to go and study to become or have an honors degree. But the person is currently only having a matric. What about the difference in terms of I need to get a BCom first or a bachelor's degree in order to qualify for the funding that you have at the higher level? So when we talk about COIDA, when we talk about SARS compliance, if you go and you speak to a Standard Bank, you talk to an EPSA, or you talk to anybody for that matter, they are going to expect the SMME to have that level already in order for them to do business. When we come to the mining company, we talk about the Mine Health and Safety Act. If I have to allow any SMME to come into the mining environment, anything happen to them, you already face a whole host of legal liabilities. So just for them to go and market their business at a company, they need to have certain compliance issues already in place. So the funding that we have available that requires you to, for instance, come through at a higher level, we need to reconsider that, bring it back to a level where we can give them grant funding, assist them with the SARS compliance, assist them with the COIDA, assist them with the accreditation that we are talking about so that they meet the immediate hurdles, come into the mainstream, and then they can do business. Some of my mining colleagues already raised it, and this is around the issue of collaboration. As it currently stands, when you talk about the MPRDA, and I know that there's an amendment that's still going through, when we talk about the social and labor plan, the issue is always, as a mining company, we expect you to meet all of your social and labor plan commitments. And those commitments give us very little maneuverability to collaborate with other mining companies. So from a G20 perspective, particularly within South Africa, it'll be great if that is something that's also put onto the table to say, how do we, as government, enable or encourage mining companies to collaborate to focus on larger infrastructure projects. For an example, when we think about localization, localization in the Rustenburg area becomes very, very difficult if you are one mining company that are looking to procure from someone that has localized their business. But if we as a mining company can collaborate, and this is just some stats I want to share with you that I learned from an analyst earlier in the year, is that within Rustenburg, we have north of 1 million people. The working population is 300,000. The mining industry employs 105,000 of the 300,000 people that are employed. But when you talk about localization, if you can get all of the mining companies that employ the 105,000 people to tap into that localization strategy, whether it is the manufacturing of overalls, for argument's sake, you will be able to localize an industry like that because now you have the combined capacity. All of the mining companies are buying together, and therefore you can set up a factory, you can do the things that needs to be done here locally. Reason why I'm saying that is what we've also seen is, as Impala, when we talk about our local procurement spend, we will quote Impala alone 2 billion rand per annum. When we add in the Impala Bafokeng that we joined in recently, we talk about 4 billion rand. Then when we talk about the profit margins on that anybody will get from the 4 billion, if it's 10%, that's 400 million rand that you then have within the Rustenburg area. So the only way to increase the 10%, if you are going to procure items from outside of the province or outside of the country, or you're going to have to bring in services, is if you focus on the localization. And for localization, we need government support. We need certain policy shifts to enable these things to be done locally. Because you are only going to have the 10% that is your profit margin if you're going to procure everything from external to the province and external to the country as well. to increase what we get locally, we are going to have to manufacture a lot more locally, and for that we need infrastructure, policy decisions, a whole lot more collaboration with our LED director, the municipality, so we can advance the province a lot more. So colleagues, there's so much to be said, and I know that I was given 2 minutes. I think I'm already on 4 minutes. So I'm looking forward, in conclusion, I'm looking forward to, at the end of all of this that we've done here today, our director over here to engage us again and to tell us that these are the findings that came through from this G20 summit that took place in Rustenburg. There's a number of actions that we have identified, and there are a number of things that we think we can implement collectively to assist us as mining companies to have that collaboration, to basically lead that process for us. But that ultimately, a year from now, 2 years from now, this will not have been another G20 summit that we had here as Rustenburg locally, and we don't have the results to show for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tali, I'm coming to you soon.
Good afternoon to you all. Yeah, it is afternoon. My name is Sizakele Zita, and I'm the convener of the ANC Youth League in Bujanala. And I'm glad that the latter speaker mostly also touched on many things that I wanted to raise, but which would also help me to be shorter. You see, in this thing of just economic growth and just economic transition and development, I would want to discuss on many things that impede our country and Rustenburg as a whole, and including Bujanala, if we were to include other sub-regions, that impedes our growth. Is that, you know, one thing that pains me is this, that if you look at the land area of Bujanala, it is very, very bigger than Gauteng as a province. But however, Gauteng's economy is way much higher than that of Bujanala. It is like we are cursed with the land that we cannot benefit from. So one of the first impedances is that you see after the transition of 1994 is that majority of our black people and the previous disadvantaged, they were not given an opportunity to go through different sectors of an economy. For an example, if you can drive around, there's so much land that can be used agriculturally and to develop our places. But however, it is not used. Why? Because of the lack of knowledge of, we have different sectors of the economy, of which one is the primary sector, which is our agricultural sector, and so on and so forth like that. So now, one thing that needs to happen is that we must change our policies. For an example, when you would want an LED MEC or director to make an implementation or a change, you'll have MFMA as a policy that stops other things. You have other PFMA policies that delays the progress and the development of our area. So we really need to firstly go into industrialization. We need to first make sure that each and every sector of our economy, we are mastering it and we are able to produce out of it. So how do we do that? Is that, one, we need to have a deliberate economic empowerment. So we have different sectors or different fundings that are there from government, from private sectors. But the red tapes that are there for you to access those funds, they are too much. So if we really want to change our country, we must be deliberate in our development. Reduce a lot of red tapes, reduce a lot of policies, and understand that our people do not have many of the things that are needed for you to acquire those things that are put in the requirements. So now if we move on into our, from primary sectors that we are mostly based in, which is mining, is that You know, industrialization can help us in so many ways, like as the letter speaker says, is that if in the mining sector, they all group up and ensure that there is a textile industry within Rustenburg, it can reduce a lot of distress into the unemployment. In which way? You will be able to produce cotton in a farming sector, you'll be able to process the cotton, and you'll be able to produce the overalls that they are speaking of. So in that way, making sure that all these sectors in our municipality and in our area are jointly aligned, it can then reduce a lot of also things that were said in earlier of unemployment rate that is so high. So one thing is that there must be a joint working together between the government, private sector, and also our chiefs. You know, many of our communal land is undeveloped. So we really need to go and work together with our chiefs and our kings to ensure that we develop the land that is there, and then we are able to produce from it in order to reduce even the problems of unemployment that we have. In that way, can I cut it short? And thank you very much.
Thank you. You spoke about access to land. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. My name is Petros Selotsapo. I'm the Regional Secretary of the Student Representative Council of UNISA, which cut across 3 provinces. We're very happy today to be here and honor this particular invitation. But as young as we are, we're also concerned about having a multiple programs as the country. That doesn't yield anything after that. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be here. We're going to speak big English, big words, go. Then next week, another issue, big words, go. But there's no implementation of whatever that we're speaking about. There's mining magnates here, business people here today who convened today here to make an input, right? So from our side, as from UNISA, as the student representative, we really need this kind of programs, and also to say UNISA is a Cordell institution, which means we are studying from home. And our students, we don't see them here anywhere in these bigger postures. We don't know those who are holding executive positions. Maybe they're students of UNISA. Some of them by default, we don't know. But we don't see them. So we're asking to say these kind of programs at least better the student, because the generations that we are leading now, it's a younger generation that needs an exposure to say, when we speak about the land, this is how you can do about the land. So you cannot speak anything in relation to business without understanding the business. And we cannot, as young people also, assume the bigger responsibilities of being in position of power, whereas we are not included. At all material time, people who are doing business, they are going to always be the highest bidder because the money speaks volumes. So we are excluded as young people. So we are asking to say also, let us have a partnership with UNISA so that we can be able to empower our students so that when they go and graduate from the academics, when they enter the terrain of business, they enter the terrain of the working class, they can know what is really happening in the world. So ne ke re ka bunyane mo tsamaisa dipuisano tsa letsatsi ke ka me ao ke a leboga.
I'm collecting the mics, as you can see.
Thank you, Maisatiro Director. Thank you very much. I'll follow suit, all protocol observed. At least that's what I heard. I don't know what it means, but I've said it. And my name is Ratanang Solomani. I'm representing Absa Bank. They say I'm a relationship executive responsible for enterprise development within the province. So what we do access to markets. We also do cash flow lending, which is solutioning the businesses. We also do business development. But I think today and I'm hoping there's a scribe to take whatever that's been shared here, because there's great power in the comments that I've heard. We, as financial sectors, we would want to collaborate and support. But we also need government, and I'm glad Mr. Kwete is here to take some of these discussions to your Department of Trade and Industry, Department of Minerals and Energy, to say, can we re-look in some of the policies that have been made before? Because some of those policies, they were never involved in terms of your local communities where they operate in. For instance, talk of two clusters, your tourism cluster and the agri cluster. If we look at some of the policies within the unused mines or shafts, we can create business opportunities for the tourism industry. Looking at the Machalis Meander, because we are in Rustenburg, and one of the speakers said we are along the N4 where people can rest. We would then be creating a destination not only for travel operators, but for accommodation as well, including some of the activities. And the moderator, I don't know if it's you or the professor who said, I'm an Orlando Pirate fan, I need to extend my stay in Rustenburg. But you cannot extend your stay in Rustenburg when you only talk of Sun City. There need to be other destinations to say, how do we then create destinations for tourism? And it goes back to say, when I said include the local communities where those unused mines are, talk of agriculture. How do we rehabilitate those shafts? What's happening above belongs to us, and what's underneath, there's nothing that we can say belongs to us. But we can create opportunities for mining tourism, that's what's remaining underneath, and agriculture tourism, that's what's remaining on top. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon. Today I am called UNISA. I will not talk of my name. I want to say UNISA is here since 2008. Companies, everybody that is here, when you're looking for people, students or workers, we are here, work with us for experiential training. We want our students to experience the work industry. The second item is we do community outreach engagements with communities, schools, and companies. We want to say that if you want to revitalize the economy of the village, the area where you stay, work with us. We are here. You can use us as a mentor. We will support you in whatever activities that you are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Tali, over. Okay. I want to, before I take it back to Tali, to give the executive mayor just to share her inputs and also respond to some of the issues raised. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't think I have much to say. Today it was a very much insightful session that we had, but I would also want to put a disclaimer. Before I'm the executive mayor of Rustenburg, I'm a resident of Rustenburg. You know, every time we are being blamed as the politicians when things are not going right, but our own people are not participating in making sure that we shape our own Rustenburg to the way we want it to be. Currently, we are in a program of the IDP sessions with the community. IDP is not only about the integrated development plan of what the community needs, but through the IDP, we can as well talk about how would we want Rustenburg to look like. So, like I was saying earlier on when I was doing the welcome, we're not going to make this session a ticking box. Therefore, we were in Rustenburg. After this, we are going to have an engagement with different stakeholders. I know and understand the view of different stakeholders in attending the community meetings. So we are going to make sure that we identify stakeholders and have engagement with them in talking about how best can we make sure that Rustenburg is the fastest growing city in Africa, because we used to be the fastest growing city and we have declined. So I'm going to ask everybody who is a citizen of Rustenburg to make sure that you participate in making sure that Rustenburg is a better place for all of us, even for the next generation for us to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's going to be very difficult because we're already given marching orders from the executive mayor. So what is going to happen is that we're going to allow the panelists to engage with the audience at a bilateral level in different sectors, because already from the floor, people have already identified who they're going to engage with already, from the business to the academia, but people who have got expertise in various sectors. So I would like us to benefit from these discussions that we have had from the floor, and with the marching order from the executive mayor, I think we'll give that opportunity for people during lunch to have a bilateral and different sector engagement as well. We saw the finance and saw the youth formations as well. So really we're going to benefit a lot during the lunchtime. Thank you so much. Let's give a round of applause for this session, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause to our panelists. And a round of applause to everyone who made inputs today. A round of applause to those who didn't say anything. A round of applause to the program director. Harder, harder. No, thank you, thank you. I'd like to call up Tate Surprise to join us upstage to do vote of thanks. And I'm also going to request after Surprise that the Executive Mayor, MMC, the Speaker of the Legislature to join us on, and Jose Arena to just appear just for a photo. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Director of the program. Indeed, let's give him a big round of applause. He has delivered a wonderful program. Let me immediately take this opportunity to thank you, my sister, the Executive Mayor. And I must put a disclaimer as well, as she did, that I'm paying some debt. We have been promising her programs in this wonderful city, and we have been postponing that. But having listened to some of the discussion here in Tatehwet, it is very clear with me that we need to come back. And we immediately contacted the office of the Minister, Minister Lamula, because we want to elevate the discussion at a policy and political level. And the good news, Executive Mayor and Khoshia Runa, is that Minister has agreed we'll come back in January. It is important to do that, Executive Mayor, because we want to participate in contributing to profile this beautiful city. And you are correct that at some point it was on a growth path. And we believe that in your leadership, those objectives, you have already set them out, that it can be a fastest growing city on the continent. In as much as my sister from mining, I can see that the discussion within the mining sector have dominated here. But we also have the responsibility to profile other emerging sectors, your tourism and agriculture. In as much as we acknowledge that, of course, mining sector is a dominant sector. But the other thing, especially when you listen to the financial sector, you can tell that the issue of our fiscal framework, Speaker, it is a serious issue when we talk about the problem of a bureaucratic system. And we have to address the various composition of our fiscal framework. And these are some of the issues that we need to discuss with the Minister. We'll try our best to reach out to National Treasury to make those input. Because of course, when it comes to small business enterprise, those are the big issues, Executive Mayor. My wish, honestly, is to see this city becoming a metro. That is my wish, Executive Mayor, so that major international events are not in Joburg Metro, eThekwini Metro, and Cape Town Metro. Would want to, there's just absolutely no reason why the mining Indaba cannot be hosted here. There's just absolutely no reason why. And of course, Speaker, this issue of demarcation we'll have to address them politically. Because you deserve to be a metro. I know that city of Mbombela is in the process of applying, which is good, so that we diversify ourselves. We would want you to, you've got a nice facility here because they always hide behind International Convention Center to host international event. You've got nice facilities here that can be able to host those major events. But we are very glad, Executive Mayor, the way you have hosted us. And that is why for us it was much easier to immediately reach out to the leadership. And of course, to participate into the tourism space, I know that a certain NGO here will be having a big event in January. So want to take advantage of that the minister will be around. And so that we make sure that we fill up all this accommodation, not only for Orlando Pirates, but for events like this. There is a gentleman, Executive Mayor, called Mandla Mtombeni. He often says to me that you don't thank civil servants because they were born to serve. But I want to break that tradition that those who have served behind the scene to conceptualize this framework, let's give them a very big round of applause. This is a good framework. We don't want to make it a public relation exercise. Hence, we want to come back to support the Executive Mayor under leadership. Khosharuna, you have graced our event today. We are going to serve the lunch immediately after this. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Executive Mayor Khosharuna, Dr. Tong, MMC, Speaker of Legislature, could you please join us here and we take a photo? DJ, while they come up.